is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remus.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk. Big win last night for the Winnipeg Jets, 4-0 over the Vegas Golden Knights. Eric Comry with the shutout. We're going to be all over it. Hrabchak is in for Remo today, and Ken Wiebe's going to join us from the road. I believe Ken is now in Utah after about a 4 a.m. flight or something like that. Looking forward to hear about his travels. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Sean Reynolds and Ken, but especially Rennie, who is out on the East Coast right now on SN duty covering Ovechkin. And the Ren Dog has brought it. I'm pretty sure their show on Tuesday after the Kings game started at like 2:30 Eastern from where he was. He was probably out somewhere at 6 a.m. as well. So the boys are coming through for the peeps. A fun show last night afterwards, of course, after such a big game. But Ken's going to join us. We'll find out about how the trip is going and dive into last night's huge win. Of course, no help from the Nashville Predators. They actually played well. I watched the first 2 periods of that game. Nashville, certainly the better team in the first period, 0-0. They scored early, were up 1-0, then gave up one in the final minute of the second period, and then sort of an iffy one early in the third, and then it was all Dallas after that. So the Jets can't count on any help, have to get it done themselves, and they did a hell of a job last night in a place that has not been kind to them for the past 2 years in T-Mobile Arena. We'll dive into it. We'll hear from Scott Arneil, Captain Adam Lowry, and the man who threw down the shutout. Nobody beats the brick, Eric Comry, with the second of the year. Listen, just before we bring in Connor, welcome to everybody in chat. Hit that thumbs up button right out the gate, everybody, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you're eligible to win in the marble race later on. Stick around for that. Looking forward to it. Andrew Z, even without Remus here, we're going to make marbles happen for you people. And, of course, also want to thank everyone listening on the podcast as well, and all of our sponsors, our friends at CoolBet, Princess Auto, Prairie Toyota Dealers, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Manitoba Battery and Canadian Club, F Apparel, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Breezy Bend, and of course we will get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp, Waverly and McGillivray, and crank out some fan feedback for our friends at Fans First. Let's get Connor Hrabchak in here and get this show on the road as we welcome everybody in chat. Oh, and one other little bit of business, and I'll talk more about this later on, but I wanted to mention this early on in the program. Sunday night is the next edition of the Lock Shop Poker Series with Winnipeg Sports Talk and Edmonton Sports Talk. If you've played before with us, let's do it all up again. There'll be a $100 bounty on my head, a $100 bounty on Dusty's head. We've had so much fun doing these. If you're wondering, we'll have a tweet about this over the weekend and something on Instagram, but you just want to go over to CoolBet, click on poker, and download the poker software. And then when you get in, if you click on tournaments, there's a little magnifying glass. Just type in lock. It'll pop up. We're starting at 8 p.m. Sunday night, Winnipeg time, 7 o'clock for our friends out in Edmonton. So join us on Sunday night, off day for the Winnipeg Jets. Should be a fun one, and those tourneys continue to grow. So I know many of the regs. Randy D, I'm still looking for revenge after what you did to me when we were down heads up a couple times ago. But anyways, let's get to the game last night. Connor, what's going on? We talked yesterday. There was 2 ways this show was going to go, and they were diametrically opposed. And luckily, the Winnipeg Jets came through with one of their best performances of the year, and the vibes are high heading into the weekend.
Where were you, Hustler, on January 1st, 2022? That's the last time the Jets beat Vegas in the regular season before last night. So, I mean, it's been a long time since they beat the Vegas Golden Knights in general, let alone in Vegas in the regular season. And yeah, last night's performance is exactly what this team needed. Eric Comry gets the start. A lot of people were freaking out about that online when he was named the starter. Going into Vegas, 26 save shutout, made it look easy as well, made some big saves, of course. Adam Lowry gets the goal, a playoff style goal. Mark Scheifele opens the scoring. A lot to like from the win last night. Just on the surface, there's a lot to like. I mean, the Jets beat the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a clash between the top two teams in each division in the Western Conference on the road, and you shut them out. That is a statement win. The Jets have had a lot of those recently, and this is another example of a statement win.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this yesterday, and I wanted to attribute the Comrie shutout to the baby swag and baby bump, but in fact, the baby's not here yet. The baby, this is pre-baby swag. He's getting ready to have the child, which was weird. I didn't realize that he had gone. I thought he was waiting here, have the baby, and join the team. That's why we said, well, if Comrie's starting, obviously it's happened. But as we'll hear from Coach Scott Arneil and Eric afterwards, it's close. And maybe they got him into a game so Hellebuyck could get a rest and he could get back to take care of daddy duty for a little bit, because as I said, apparently it could happen at any point. But let's start with Eric Comrie. I mean, there was so many guys that chipped in. But listen, Hellebuyck is the MVP of this team and arguably the MVP of the entire league. A huge game for Winnipeg against a team they haven't had success yet. And they went with the backup, who's coming off of a game against Buffalo in which he really wasn't at the standard that he's been at this year, which has been really good. But with everything happening around this club, Connor, Eric Comrie showed up. And listen, he was really good in the third period when he had to be, as Vegas sort of, I mean, it was more score effects in that third period. I mean, I still like the way the Jets played, but you knew there was going to be a push. But I'll tell you what, I mean, he kept it clean, and so did the Winnipeg Jets in front of him for that first 40 minutes, opening up that commanding lead. And he did exactly what you'd want any goaltender, never mind a backup goaltender, to do. Take care of the ones you should have, maybe make a couple good ones, but all in all, hold it down. And I mean, listen, Eric Comrie's going to be the guy who gets the shutout and deserves the flowers. But everybody had a piece of that. And funny how a little bit better puck management and some great sticks and tenacious defense, it can go a long way against a good team like Vegas.
For sure. And I know you mentioned KNR off the top. We'll have Ken Wiebe coming up here. His save of the game last night, I have to agree with it. Mark Stone, wide open in the slot, late in the second period. Jets are leading 3-0. It's Comrie and Stone, and Comrie makes the glove save. And if Vegas scores, the building gets into it. It's a 2-goal game. We saw how the third period went, where the Jets were maybe a little bit on their heels and Vegas, ran up the shots a little bit. That could be a different game if Eric Comrie doesn't make that timely save. But the rest of the night, like, the Jets' defensive structure was at the best it's been for a long time now. I mean, I have some of the numbers here that I'll get into later on, but since the Four Nations break, this team's defensive structure has been very strong. Going on the road with Eric Comrie in net, that is another testament to how good this group has been defensively. And Eric Comrie, like, I know he's had some tough performances this year, and he's been the lightning rod, as you used that term yesterday, for a few Jets losses this year. He's on a league minimum contract for this year and next, and has a .914 save percentage as the backup to the maybe heart-winning goaltender. Like, I don't know what more you could ask for from Eric Comrie. He's got a .914. He just shut out the Vegas Golden Knights on the road. Like, this is his best performance of the season. I think it's better than his other shutout, which came against Carolina. To do it on the road in that building against that team, Eric Comrie deserves a ton of credit, and especially so for that save off of Mark Stone late in the second there.
Now listen, just while we're talking goaltending, I'm just pulling up the league standings right now. And
that's always fun.
The Jets have a 12-goal advantage on the LA Kings right now in goals against, and have played one more game. So the Jets are looking very, very good for a second straight Jennings trophy. Now, Connor, refresh my memory last year. LB did not have enough games to get his name on the Vezina trophy. Was that because he was in 19 and needed 20? Was that the number?
No, I believe it was 25, and he had like 23. I believe it's 25 starts. So Eric Comrie, unless he like runs the table here, won't get his name on it either, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If I have that correctly, I believe
Comrie's
it's 25.
at 19.
Yeah.
19. We'll check that out. Well, listen, regardless, he's been a big, big part of it. A 236 goals against average. a 9-9-1 record. He has, I mean, listen, you look at, the numbers that he's put out, and even in the losses. I mean, that was kind of at that time where, for whatever reason, the Jets just weren't scoring every time that he played. So, listen, maybe the easiest guy to pull for and to cheer for. And listen, he was grinning big time after the game, as he should have been. But again, while we kind of started off with Eric Comrie, everybody stepped up last night. And maybe the best bit of news for Winnipeg Jet fans when we dropped the puck, Connor, was looking out and seeing big Luke Schenn out for the game. Weren't sure whether he was going to play. Arneil was non-committal about it. He went out there, was skating with Ville Heinola in the morning skate, which I think indicated that, okay, he's probably not playing. And then he was out there. Man, what a difference he makes. I mean, an absolute force. I mean, he just threw a guy down at one point last night. I thought there may have been a penalty on it. I'm sure you know the play that I'm talking about. But he was great. And then that kind of reset that third pairing with Colin Miller playing on that third pairing, Stanley playing on his left side. And listen, I know there was a ton of discourse about Stanley, and I get it. I mean, that was, as Brandon Ruicki put it, the third goal against LA was a debacle. But overall, last night, he actually got an assist on the Lowry goal. And I thought the blue line did a real good job of keeping it simple, not doing too much, and allowing the forwards to play a big role in the overall game, especially defensively. One of the things that really stood out to me, Connor, I'm not sure I remember a game where the Jets were as good with their sticks as they were last night. I mean, Vegas was so frustrated. Every time they were passing, the Jets were getting a stick on it. And I mean, that is very frustrating to play against. I mean, the tenacity of Winnipeg's forecheck was a huge story last night. And then you make the most of a few opportunities, get a lead. And it was like night and day to the LA game, a lot because they didn't spot the other team a couple of goals and have to climb the hill.
Well, you want to know why we know it's a frustrating style to play against? That's what happened Tuesday night against the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets did it to Vegas. Like that Lowry goal, Vegas is resetting in the neutral zone. They have possession of the puck. They're looking to make a play up the ice. Lowry gets his stick on a pass. The Jets immediately turn it over, get into the zone, cycle, gets to the point. Logan Stanley shoots it, and Adam Lowry bangs it home for a playoff-style goal. But that play started on Vegas's stick. That was a turnover right at the blue line, and the Jets took advantage. And that's what happened in the LA game, right? I'm sure Vegas fans last night, maybe outside of the first period, the Jets really took it to them. But I think Vegas fans were saying, hey, we were right there with them, saved from a few mistakes. And that's exactly what we were saying coming out of that Tuesday game. So the Jets, LA Kings, the Vegas Golden Knights last night. But yeah, their sticks were all over the place. Luke Schenn, I said it on yesterday's show. These games are the style of games he thrives in, the physical games against these forechecking teams where he can box players out in front of the net, block shots, make plays with his stick, be physical, throw guys down in front of the net. Like you just said, that's on the borderline of a penalty, but in a playoff style game, probably not. And he made a big impact, not only in his pairing, but the trickle down effect. Like you said, Colin Miller on that third pair, I thought him and Stanley had a great game as the pairing. And then Colin Miller, we talk all this time about the power play. Will there be a tinker? You know, they're really loading up on that top unit by putting Cole Perfetti there. And then it's the second unit that scores, Colin Miller with a 96-mile-an-hour rocket. So it's just up and down the lineup. There was so much to like from the Jets last night.
It's so funny you mentioned that with PP2. So I was out with some of my buddies that I often watch the games with, and we're going through this power play. And, I was kind of having the conversation I had with you on the program. Like, okay, is this PP1 now going to be an Oiler-esque power play that basically sits out there for the entire 2 minutes and then they switch it over? And then they went for the change at like 1:05, 1:10. I mean, it wasn't a long, wasn't for power play, a long shift at all. And PP2 went out there. We're kind of looking, okay, there's Nino, there's Appleton, Iafallo, and of course, Colin Miller. And literally we were saying, oh, just watch this. PP2 is going to go out there and get the job done. And literally Falls is beside me. He's like, they just have to get it to Miller for the bomb. And like, it literally happened. Boom, it's in the back of the net. And we were joking that when they got the when they got the opportunity or later on in the game, start with PP2. I mean, I think we know where the most of the talent is on the Jet power play units, but that was huge. And I mean, that was a perfect example of everybody pulling on the rope in the same way, doing what they can to make contributions. And that's what you need to do to beat a quality team like Vegas.
And how many shot attempts did Colin Miller have on that power play alone? It felt like he was the trigger man, like they kept throwing it to him and he had a few wrist shots. He had one slap shot. And then the one that he scored was just like a step into it one timer. And we know he has maybe the best point slap shot on the Jets in terms of velocity for sure.
No
and
doubt.
The TSN broadcast popped it up there, 96.4 miles an hour as it blew right past Adin Hill. Like that was a nice goal. And if the second power play unit is just going to tee up Colin Miller and then go to the front of the net and create chaos, like I'm good with that with their current configuration. I like that style. And it clearly worked last night, and they were clearly trying to do it because Colin Miller had 3 or 4 opportunities there. But yeah, like you talk about the contributions up and down the lineup. We talk about this team's depth all the time. Colin Miller scoring a power play goal on the road against Vegas. Like these are the contributions that you get. And then the trickle down effect with Luke Schenn having a big impact and clearing the front of the net, making sure Eric Comrie could see everything. A lot to like from the Jets blue line last night for sure.
Something I'm sure we'll be talking about next week with the impending hopeful return of Neil Pionk is how the blue line is going to look, who the top 6 will be when they get in. And I know it's something I talked with Murat about a little earlier on, and something that he had mentioned that was interesting, especially seeing what Miller was able to do last night. Assuming that Pionk goes back in to play with Sandberg and Luke Schenn is your right side defenseman on that third pairing. They originally had gone with Hayden Fleury, who is a left shot. I'll be interested to see whether they consider maybe going with 2 righties on it if it can work with Colin Miller, because Miller certainly does add a couple of things that the other guys don't have. The shot, absolutely. And he can move the puck as well. I think, first things first, they're going to worry about taking care of business in their own end and who is a good complement to Luke Schenn as far as moving that puck out. I think it probably comes down to one of those 2 guys. When Miller is in on the right side and one of those 2 guys are out, I think it's pretty clear that Logan Stanley is going to be the guy that'll be playing with Miller on that third pairing. But everybody stepped up last night, and led by the guy with the C on his chest, and monster game from the captain. And Connor, I think we're just about ready to unleash playoff Adam Lowry. He looked like he was in playoff mode last night.
Every year, he's one of the Jets' best playoff performers, like consistent, giving it his all night in, night out. And last night was no different. I mean, since the Four Nations break, the Jets have beaten the other 3 top teams in the NHL. Like they are number 1. They've beaten Dallas, they've beaten Washington, and now they beat Vegas. And Adam Lowry has been great in all of those games. And he's going to raise his style of play when the playoffs demand it. He's the kind of player that thrives in that environment. I talk about it with Luke Schenn, but Adam Lowry is a physical player. He's going to play defensively sound hockey. And if he's chipping in goals in the blue paint, going to the right areas, that's gravy on top. So great game from Adam Lowry. And that third line that we saw back together, they've played so many minutes over the past couple of years, but being a reliable third line, Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton on the road against Vegas, and even chipping in a goal. Great stuff from Adam Lowry specifically, and that third line.
Well, and Lowry, I mean, it was just vintage Adam Lowry, that entire shift that led to the goal. And, first and foremost, they're wanting that line to be shutting down the top guys on the other team. And certainly they were effective in doing that. But when you can start getting scoring from that group, and as I said, you kind of laid it out. I mean, in the playoffs, Adam Lowry's been a guy that has scored goals. He's had, the most responsibility maybe of any player when it comes to going up against, the McKinnons and whatnot. Now, obviously, we know last year's playoffs overall for the team didn't go very well, but I don't think there's much question about what the Jets are going to be getting from the guy with the C on their chest come playoff time as well. And you know what? I mean, that top line I thought looked really good last night. I mean, AI continues to do everything you can. I mean, what did he take it off his face and then had the wherewithal to hold on to the puck, get room to set up Mark Scheifele. I mean, just an absolutely beautiful pass to get things started. We knew how important that first goal was going to be yesterday, Connor.
Yeah, the first goal, very important. We saw, how quickly the Jets went down to the Kings 2-0 and how that style of play, kind of dictates that. Scott Arneil even mentioned it after the game, and we'll get to Scott Arneil's comments coming up here. But he said, getting that early goal, jumping on them early, going up 2-0 in the first period, that changes how Vegas wants to play. Vegas can't trap it up. They can't just clog the middle of the ice. They now need to open it up and try and get some offense. So the first goal on the road, the first goal is always important, like full stop. On the road in Vegas, I think it's even more important. Not all first goals of a game are created equally. And I think in Vegas, you want that lead. A 2-goal lead ends up being a 4-0 game. Like, that is a picture perfect start. And the Jets struggled in their start against LA. I think that should be noted as well. Like, Scott Arneil mentioned it after the game. LA's start wasn't that great. They went down 2-0, a few key turnovers. The first period against Vegas was maybe the best period of play they've ever played against Vegas in the past 3 years. I don't know, since they won, they dominated that first period in Vegas, went up 2-0, took a 2-0 lead into the break. And you really could not ask for a better start against the Pacific Division leading Golden Knights on the road.
One other thing I wanted to say about the power play, even though the first unit didn't score on that 110 on their first chance, I love the fact that they were not spending a lot of time thinking about it. They were getting the puck on the net. Kyle Connor did that on a couple of occasions. At a certain point when you've got that man advantage and things haven't been clicking and you're maybe sometimes guilty of getting too cute, there is something to be said about just firing the puck at the goaltender, taking care of the, utilizing the man advantage potentially for rebounds. And I really did like the look of that power play unit as well. And I thought Cole Perfetti added something to it as well. And be looking forward to seeing them go at it tomorrow as the team moves on to Utah. Hey, just quickly before we get to the coach, I was seeing in chat the big question: Did parental guidance get the win last night?
Let's just say your cool bet parlay would not have hit. The Jets did that. The Jets,
we went
the Jets took care of
night?
business. Yeah, it was a tough one. We didn't get pucks deep, but stuck to our game plan, and we'll get them next time.
It's a long off season after that last playoff game. Hey, listen, we are going to get to Scott Arneil in just a minute. I do want to thank the great folks over at Rolly's Transfer first for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Folks, if you are planning a move this year, why don't you lean on our pals over at Rolly's? Family owned and operated for over 60 years, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Check out their great website at rollies.com. And at the top right corner, you can request an estimate. Hit that and put in the promo code WST for a special discount for Winnipeg Sports Talk supporters for moving services and moving supplies. And then let them know when you are planning on moving, where you're moving to, and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around real quick with a great quote to ensure that you get the white glove treatment for all your belongings that Rollies is famous for, now into their 7th decade of service to Manitobans. For all your moving needs, give our pals at Rollies a call or hit them up online and request an estimate today at rollies.com. I know it'll be bedlam at St. Vital Dental Center later on, just around 3 p.m. Dr. Terry and the gang, great supporters of Winnipeg Sports Talk. And we'll be paying attention to the marble race as well. I think Terry was top 10 a couple of weeks ago. But listen, St. Vital Dental Center, great supporters of Winnipeg Sports Talk, and an institution really in the community, serving Winnipeggers and Manitobans for generations. They're down at 167 St. Anne's with a beautiful new facility with free parking right in the back of the building. A lot of smiling faces there, and the great dentist to make your smile even better. A spring cleaning or more, St. Vital Dental Center's there for you. Find out more or make an appointment online at stvitaldental.ca. And again, you can check them out or pop by and see them at 167 St. Anne's. Hey, the weekend's here. I was just talking some CFL with Dusty over in the lock shop. Cannot wait for this snow to be gone and the Bombers to get back and be sipping on Canadian Club in the north end of Princess Auto Stadium this summer. But in the meantime, as you head out to maybe your local Manitoba liquor marts, getting ready for the weekend, and as we keep it Canadian, take a look at the iconic Canadian whiskey, the original Canadian Club, along with Canadian Club 100% Rye and Canadian Club Classic, and all the other great Beam Suntory products waiting for you over at Manitoba Liquor Mart's Canadian Club, official spirit of Winnipeg Sports Talk, and your Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And hey, charged up for the weekend, charged up for spring and summer. You know where we get our charges. Manitoba Battery, your local option for the best prices and best service in town on batteries of all makes and models, shapes and sizes for literally everything. Now, there are 2 locations in Winnipeg, Logan Avenue and their new location on Dovercourt Drive, where you'll find batteries for literally everything at the best prices in town, beating the pants off the big box stores, and the best service, which includes free delivery anywhere inside the perimeter with any purchase over $60. It's just that easy. For all your battery needs, make it Manitoba Battery. Visit them in store today or shop online at manitobabattery.com. All right, let's hear what the coach had to say about the Jets' big 4-0 win in Vegas last night. Here's Scott Arneil from post-game in Sin City.
Coming out of the gate today, Scott?
You know what? Just obviously had a game plan. We knew that Vegas has been really good, especially in this building, and we needed a good start more than anything. We were slow, a little bit slow coming out of our start in LA. I just thought tonight we really got off, and all the lines, the D, everybody got running right away. And when you can get up a couple of goals like that, it certainly makes them change their game a little bit.
And what were the keys to getting the forecheck going? Because that was one area I know that your group didn't love about the LA game.
Yeah, I mean, the LA game is a little bit different in the fact that because they're clogging up so much that it's hard to get through there, and it makes it tough on the forecheck. You're kind of putting the puck into places and then trying to, it's hard to get it back. I thought tonight that, Vegas plays a good, defensive game as well, but we just got to pucks quicker, it seemed like tonight.
How would you describe the effort? Eric Comry.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I know he's just waiting here, for baby number 2 to come, and an early present. But he was outstanding. Obviously third period there, we gave up a lot of shots, but he was solid. A couple of chances in the second and third, first and second, where, he just he looked big and made that stop, and so those are things that helps the team's confidence as well.
Any update on Nick Ehlers?
Nah, no, nothing. Not yet. Don't know yet.
Something you want to do until tomorrow with him, basically.
Yeah.
Thought you survived.
Keeps getting hit with pucks.
I was gonna say, you thought you survived the first scare, and then another one happens.
Yeah. I think he'll be all right.
You said Luke would be game time. I mean, how would you describe the impact he had in this game?
Yeah, obviously not having in LA is just because it happened, in the morning skate, kind of threw stuff a little bit out of balance there. Just kind of having to, sort of scramble to get guys kind of in there. It changes our PK a little bit, partners. And then tonight you just saw he's a steady guy. He's he's physical. He blocks shots. He makes some good outlet plays. So I'm glad that he could get himself back in the lineup and was healthy.
What did you think of the new look power play units? One obviously cashed in with Collins.
Yeah, they're obviously that. I like the fact that Colin pounded the puck there a few times from the top, and they're still a work in progress. Really haven't had a chance to. This morning was our first time to really kind of put the units together and get a look at it. But I like the fact that we had some good zone time with it.
I know Adam brings so much to the table. The first goal in 11 games for him. What did it mean to him? This is normally when he plays his best hockey and is his most productive.
Yeah, he had a lot of good looks in the last few games. It's nice to see him. To bury one of those. He's a guy that does a lot of the grunt work for us. Does a great job of leading. And I thought that he with him tonight, he was really solid. That he was doing a great job of whether he was against Eichel or whether he was against Carlson or wherever he was running into. He did a great job both in the face-off circle and then shutting those guys down.
And lastly, how would you describe Scheifele's game, like going head-to-head?
Oh, it was really that Scheifele was. I thought I threw it. The lineup was real good, but you know what? When your leaders can play like that on the road, again, Scheifele was real good. That was a great goal, a great pass by Al. But when your leaders can, after a game like that in LA, and then come back here, and when your best players are your best players, it certainly helps you win hockey games.
All right, so there is head coach Scott Arneil. And, listen, I mean, everyone stepped up. I mean, it's tough to single guys out. And, you heard from the coach, it was funny that he mentioned Nikolai Ehlers. You want to talk about a guy that paid the price last night. I mean, he was sort of walking Murphy's Law. I mean, taking pucks in the foot, in the leg, being down, and a couple things you could tell was really painful. I do wonder, and again, they're going to be skating like at the after, I think like at about 3:45 our time today in Utah. I wouldn't be surprised if Ehlers is not on the ice today. And, I don't think you want to take the skate off, Connor, after something like that happens. But, and again, Arnie had no real comment on it. They didn't know. But your fingers crossed that, that thing doesn't balloon up and prevent him from potentially being a player on Saturday. But he was everywhere last night and, had a big role in a lot of circumstances last night.
Yeah, he kept getting hit with pucks. And I mean, it was a weird game with that, right? Like Alex Iafallo takes the puck to the face. I saw someone in chat saying he even carried the puck in his mouth over the blue line and then made the pass to Scheifele. No, but it was weird. Like, and then Nikolai Ehlers, yeah. I mean, I don't think Arneil would be joking around that he's always getting hit with pucks, and even said, I think he'll be all right. If there was real concern there. So maybe he won't skate today, but maybe it'll be maintenance. You want to manage these things this late in the year and a Friday practice. If Nikolai Ehlers can play tomorrow, they will just rest him and play him tomorrow. If he can skate today, great. But obviously we won't know that until after the show. But I wouldn't be all too concerned with Nikolai Ehlers, and he's been one of the Jets' best forwards over these past, 10, 15 games. So that would be huge to have him still in the lineup and good to go.
Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, it was all hands on deck, and as I joked last night, it was a tough night for the Jets' doomsday cult that is always waiting for the bottom to fall out and the worst to possible happen. I mean, this is just another statement, I think, by the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, yeah, you have a game where you lost, you move on, and as Connor just laid out. I mean, to beat what was the other? You tweeted this out actually earlier on, and it was the record of teams against the best teams in the NHL. And the Jets actually on that had a pretty significant cushion as the number one team in the league against the top competition in the NHL.
Yes. So this is courtesy of Data Driven Hockey on Instagram. But they tweeted out. It's on Instagram, so it's not a tweet. They posted the best record or best points percentage against the top 16 teams in the NHL. The Jets are the number one team when facing top 16 teams in the NHL. This was going into the LA game, so it would have went down with the LA loss, but then back up with the Vegas win, obviously. But they were at a 694 points percentage against the top 16 teams in the league. Second place was Vegas with a 639. So there was a massive gap between them and second place in playing against the top 16 teams in the league. And they went out and beat the team that was second best at it in their barn last night. So last year, they were pretty high on that as well. And I know there was the whole frauds thing, but beating good teams and doing it, when the process is right, that's another thing. If we want to play the Adam Lowry clip, we can. But he mentioned last night how the process has been a big emphasis for this group. And the process has been correct for these last 20 games. Like, they beat Washington, they beat Dallas, they beat Vegas, but they also are fifth in 5-on-5 goal share. They're second in expected goal percentage. They're second in high danger chance percentage. They're second in expected goals against per 60 and third in scoring chances against per 60 over these last 20 games since the Four Nations break. So not only are they beating good teams, they have these statement wins, but they are playing well while doing so. And in their losses, they're not playing bad. Like that Buffalo game, they didn't play bad. The LA game, few mistakes, but they didn't play bad for 60 minutes, right? So I think there's a lot to like about where this team's game is at right now.
Well, listen, and that's why, I mean, we're 76 games into the season. This is what this team is right now. And no, listen, there's other great teams in the league. There's nothing guaranteed when you get to playoffs. But I think it was another example of the reason why, this team has given their fans a ton of reasons to believe in them this year. And that was another example of it last night. And hey, it's going to be a big week in Utah, home to St. Louis, and then that huge game looming next week against the Dallas Stars. But as the Jets have shown all the season long, they're up for the big games. They played well against top competition, and we hope that will continue. Listen, Ken's going to join us in just a second, but let's hear, before we bring in Ken, from Eric Comry, who was all smiles, as he usually is, after the shutout last night.
Not tonight, because She can give birth any second, so I'd be on a plane back.
How would you describe what the last few days have been like?
With that?
The waiting game, yeah. Baby watch.
My phone's on loud every single night right now. I've been looking at flights to get home just in case it happens, so I'm prepared if I have to go home. It could be any day now.
How exciting is it playing games that matter down the stretch with playoff seeding implications and just big games?
You know what? That's actually that's awesome. I'm very happy to be that Arnie and coaching staff has a lot of trust in me. They said Arnie told me a couple days ago, it doesn't matter. We don't care if this is the playoff push right now. We care, but he don't care who's playing because we have full confidence in you. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence in myself, and it just gave me belief in myself to go out there and do what I had to do.
Big picture, how happy are you with your game right now?
I feel pretty good. Game was good tonight. But it's the little things that I do every single day with our goalie coach here. I think he's the best in the league at what he does, and Wade Flaherty, that is. He's awesome. It's great skating with him every single day. He keeps me ready for my games, and I think even this morning, just running me through drills, pregame skate in LA, we were out there a little bit extra long because we knew we had a day off yesterday, and it's just the little things like that he makes sure I stay sharp and my game stays where I want it to stay.
How would you describe what it's like to have Luke Chen playing in front of your group and what he's brought to the team since the trade?
Oh, he's I think they call him the human eraser. So he likes to erase things that happen on the ice that aren't so good, and he makes it really good for us. He's unbelievable blocking shots. He's a big boy. I mean, he obviously has a lot of hits in his career. He's pretty high up there on the hit list. So that's also another thing. He's a big body, and he's just awesome. He's an awesome teammate. He's an unbelievable leader. He's vocal in the room. And he set up a really nice team dinner last night, and we had a really, really good spread. So I'm really happy with that. I think it got the guys going.
All right, there's Eric Comry, all smiles and all laughs. I mean, listen, is there a more fun or pleasant individual in sports to listen to? I don't think so. We'll maybe have Adam Lowry for you a little bit later on, but Ken's going to join us right now from Utah. Before we do that, I want to shout out Princess Auto, amazing sponsors of ours, and our entire Winnipeg sporting community. Princess Auto really is synonymous with Winnipeg. Founded here, headquartered here, and now coast to coast across Canada, but starting all right here in the Peg, and now with 3 locations, 2 in the city, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, and a location for you out in Brandon as well. Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new waiting for you at Princess Auto. Pop by this weekend and visit them in store or shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. The snow's melting. It's getting me thinking about summer. And for me and so many Manitobans, summer means the highlight of a trip to Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge. If maybe you're thinking about some different travel plans and summer holidays, why don't you think about going to a world-class fishing lodge where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg and doing it right here in beautiful Manitoba. That's right, Aikens Lake. And as incredible as the world-class fishing is, the hospitality of the Aikens team and the Trent family might be even better. Find out all the options for both personal trips, corporate retreats, online at aikenslake.com, as well as availability for the 2025 season. And make sure to check them out on all their socials for more at Aikens Lake. And just before we bring in Kenny, hey, folks, spring, summer, that means wedding season. That means grads. Guys, if you need to up your menswear game, get on over to F Apparel, 190 Smith Street downtown. Custom suits starting at $400. Chinos, golf pants, custom shirts, both tucked and untucked styles. The biggest and best selection of menswear accessories, and 2 great promos on right now for grads. Buy a suit and get a free shirt and tie with your purchase. And of course, great deals and discounts for wedding parties when the fellas get their suits for the big day. Find out more at F Apparel, 190 Smith Street downtown. Check them out online or make an appointment at F. That's EPHapparel.com. All right. It's time to head out to Utah and welcome in our man, Ken Wiebe. And this segment is a presentation of your Prairie Toyota dealers. We've got a great contest going on right now, folks. The grand prize includes a signed Mark Scheifele jersey, a signed Connor Hellebuck jersey, and some great Winnipeg Sports Talk merch. What you're going to want to do is visit Prairie Toyota Dealers on Instagram at Prairie Toyota Dealers and on Facebook at Prairie Toyota to enter. You can click on the link in this description. It'll take you right there. So get in on that amazing prize And you've got until April 23rd to do it. So enter today. Open to Albertan, Saskatchewan residents, and of course, Manitoba of the age of majority. And of course, get it and go. Visit shoptoyota.ca today. Your Prairie Toyota dealerships offer a wide selection of vehicles forged with Toyota's commitment to quality, including fuel-efficient hybrids, perfect for city driving, and SUVs to make the most of all of the seasons. Pop by, browse their inventory, and schedule a test drive in your dream Toyota today at your Prairie Toyota dealers. All right, beautiful backdrop for Wiebe. He's gone from Sin City to beautiful Utah. Is this your first time out there, Kenny?
Well, Huss, I've been to the E-Center or whatever it's being called these days, but never made my way downtown during the IHL or AHL days. So I haven't had too much time to explore the city yet. Had a 4 a.m. special for the wake-up call, but certainly with the start time the way it is on Saturday, hope to see a little bit of the town here and maybe even venture out to Park City at some point. But great to be with you as always, and been an interesting week again, Huss. Right, a lot of folks feeling a lot of things on Tuesday that they weren't feeling this morning when the sun woke up.
Oh, are you saying that the it's going back and forth from one end of the spectrum to the other with every result of this hockey team? You don't say, "Hey, before we talk about the game last night, I mentioned this earlier." A huge shout out to you and especially your partner Rennie for coming through with the people with these two shows. Like Rennie, I did the calculations. I think that show started at like 2:30 a.m. Eastern, where he was chasing Ovi. I mean, again, a real late one last night as he's got all this going on around Ovechkin. And I mean, just give us a quick idea. Like, so the game ends at, we'll call it 10 o'clock Vegas time. What were the next 6 hours like for you before you got on that early red eye?
Yeah, Huss, the sleep per minute, the sleep per 60 totals are fairly low for this trip, and not for the reasons that some people have a low sleep count in Vegas. But yeah, I mean, to hustle down, trying to file, you got as much pre-writing as you can, and again on Thursday the result was not really in question for a good chunk of the game, so was able to get some pre-writing done. But hustle down to get the interviews, plug and play a few quotes, get the show fired up. At what that would have been 10:25 hour show, a little bit of post-game visiting while we download, back to the hotel just before midnight, pack the suitcase, maybe sleeping by 1, up at 4, and off to the airport. So we're very fortunate to be doing what we do, but the less glamorous side was on display in the last couple of days, both in LA and here. But I mean, again, just it's the best time of the year for hockey, Huss. I mean, to be able to talk about hockey and to hear the passion of folks at late in the wee hours of the Kenny and Rennie After Dark, it's what makes the shows fun, whether they're on in the afternoon like yours or occasionally late at night like ours. But it's been an interesting week for sure. Jets did not play their best in LA. We know that. They did some things incredibly well. Their puck management was very poor, and it resulted in 3 direct goals. And what did they do against Vegas on Thursday, Huss? Man, did they ever clean up the puck management issues? They got their forecheck going. Oh, by the way, the new power play units looked better and got a goal. The top line that had a very quiet day on Tuesday and a rare quiet day, Huss, against the LA Kings, went out and got the table setter, Adam Lowry, who hadn't scored in 10 games and who, called himself ice cold in the post-game interview. He gets a big goal late in the first period. And just an incredible effort overall by the Jets. They extend the lead in the second, and, Cole Perfetti continues his, again, we've been using the word magic carpet ride a lot, but man, if you're the Jets and you're watching Cole Perfetti, you're seeing or a Jets fan for that matter, you're seeing, some real blossoming right before our very eyes here, Huss. You look up suddenly and the guy's got 18 goals, and it's not just that he's making, it's not just that he's scoring to contribute. He's just been dynamite on a lot of fronts, and it's been impressive to witness firsthand here.
You mentioned Adam Lowry. I kind of said to Connor in our opening conversation for the first half hour that that felt last night that playoff Lowry has arrived. And, even when the Jets, have had their poor team performances, what you're getting every night from Adam Lowry. But it really has seemed like, throughout his career, he has really elevated his level of play in the playoffs. And frankly, with the race and what's at stake right now for the Winnipeg Jets, despite being on top of the league standings, there was a playoff feel to that. I think a playoff level of urgency of that. And the guy with the C really led the way. I mean, that shift starting 30 seconds before the goal went in was absolutely vintage Lowry. And I'm sure the coaches are at a big smile on their face watching that back on their video session.
Yeah, Hassan, we've talked a lot and we've got a lot of feedback about what the lines have looked like in the last couple of weeks here since Gabe Vilardi had been sidelined with the upper body injury. And, a lot of the time there was some good with the lines that had been used before in the last couple of weeks. And then the reverting to the familiar tactics certainly paid off on Thursday with Nino Niederreiter Huss playing his best game in weeks for me. 2 assists in the game, 5 shots on goal, 6 shot attempts, 3 hits, his best game in a long time. And putting him back with what had been, often for this season, the best checking line in the NHL was something that was, again, another example of smart coaching. Now, I really liked Ehlers on that line also, Huss. And I think it kind of helped Nino get back to sort of his core principles and core values. He was very noticeable in the game. Mason Appleton was buzzing around, creating some things on the forecheck. And as you mentioned, I mean, Adam Lowry, just an absolute table setter in the game itself. Tone setter also. I really liked everything about his game. That line had a ton of cycle shifts, like you said, those shifts when they're ragging it down low and making the opposition kind of uncomfortable in the D zone. And, then you get a puck up to the top, unloaded by Stanley. I think it hits Nino in front, and there's Lowry all alone. And guess what? Adam Lowry's a pretty tough guy to knock out of the way in the slot, Huss, as it turns out. And there he was. I mean, he'd had a ton of grade A scoring chances in the last, in those 10 games when he did not have a goal, but just kind of a, meat and potatoes, get to the right spot, find the puck and bang it home. And in typical Lowry fashion, joking about the dry spell and also, heaping all of the praise on everyone else who touched the puck before him, even though, he went to the hard areas and made sure that he won his battle in front of the net because, like I said, he's tough to contain. And when he plays that style, that Adam Lowry kind of beast mode hockey, it makes the Jets even more dangerous when it comes to the, high pressure games that are around the corner here, not only in the last 6, but as the players have been talking about for weeks and sometimes months, game 83 and beyond.
We sure saw what a difference Luke Shen makes in the lineup. And
you don't say.
Listen, not only the impact that he had tossing guys around and, bringing that level of physicality and presence that the Jets have needed, but it really does. I mean, listen, people can have their takes on Logan Stanley, Colin Miller, Hayden Fleury, whatever you want. Having those guys play in a third pairing role on their proper sides, it just seemed like they were so much more comfortable. And I would say both of those players, I mean, Miller and Stanley, Miller had that iffy pass to Scheifele on the first goal. Obviously, we've talked about the third goal plenty against LA. I thought a big bounce back for them, but playing where they should be playing if they're in. And I mean, what can you say about Shen and, the impact he has on so many aspects of the game?
Yeah, first and foremost with the third pairing, Huss, it was interesting. And Sean Reynolds made just a great point on the post game. So it was a little bit of a difference in terms of style played in the game for both of those players, but effective in each and every way, right? So, yes, Stanley did have one bad turnover that Zach Whitecloud got a good scoring chance on, but Logan had a much quieter game, and Colin was just a little bit more back to his routine and his normal game. He was way more active. I thought he was physical. He was moving the puck more efficiently and effectively. I thought there was a little bit of a hair on fire to his game in the previous game against the LA Kings. I use the word overexposure. And again, that's not a knock on the player, but when you're slotted where you play your best hockey, that's generally why a player is a third pairing guy. And Miller's an incredibly effective third pairing guy. He had a tough goal in the second pairing the other night against some really high end players. I mean, that's what happens. We saw this even with, we've talked about Dylan Sandberg so much, Huss. Dylan Sandberg had some wobbly moments in the playoffs when he got elevated to a second pairing role after Brendan Dillon had his hand stepped on in the series against Colorado. But now Dylan Sandberg's one of the best defensemen on the Winnipeg Jets. So it was natural for, guys being slotted in their right spots. And as you mentioned, for Stanley being on his right or left side, which is his right side, they had a very effective game. And when it comes to Schenn, Huss, I mean, just an exceptional game. And never mind, he got, started the play on the first goal. And is there a little bit of luck involved when a puck caroms off its stick and then hits Alex Iafallo in the face and it lands perfectly? And he makes just an incredible move to find Mark Scheifele and a really great backhand pass. But I loved how calm Luke Schenn was in this game. Luke Schenn wasn't operating at 100%, Huss. That was obvious. I mean, he wasn't getting around super silkily, if you will, but he was so effective. His first pass was very, very solid, but I just love the way that he calmed the game down when he needed to, and then he also cranked it up when he needed to, Huss, if you know what I mean. As you mentioned, the physical nature of his game is something the Jets did not have enough of on their back end. He's out there laying out, blocking shots. In the second period, great scoring chance for Vegas. He breaks it up. Third period, Vegas is pressing. They've had the goalie out for what seemed like 3 minutes already. There's Luke Schenn laying out to ensure Eric Comrie has his second shutout of the season and fourth of his career. I just thought that he was outstanding in the game, and Eric Comrie couldn't have said it better in calling him the human eraser, because he seemed to erase any stubbing of the toe that happened in the game itself. And there weren't that many examples of stubbing the toe.
Well, and he erased a few Vegas Golden Knights as well. I don't know who the guy was, but I mean, he tossed a dude like a hay bale on the farm at one point. I mean, I use that word presence. Like, everyone knows when he's out there, everyone's head is up knowing that if they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, they're going to get creamed. And then doing all those little things to help a team win. I mean, his return to the lineup cannot be overstated about the effect that he had and the trickle down throughout. Nikolai Ehlers had a tough day at the office. I mean, he was getting smoked by pucks on multiple occasions. He was down, he was back in. It really did seem like he took a real hard one on the foot. And Ken, you know how you don't want to take the skate off because it'll balloon up. He finished the game. I guess something that you'll be following is his status for the next couple days, because often you can make it through the game, but there is some worry after the fact, depending on how much the foot took and swelling and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you could just see. I know the cameras provided some great visuals on that first block on Nick Hague, like absolutely in agony, Huss, like hunched over. Like, the ref essentially had to help him get back to the bench, right? He tried getting up, he was down, he was up, he was down to the bench, made it back, and then got drilled on the inside of the knee by that Cole Perfetti shot on that third period power play. So obviously missed a few shifts there. And Scott Arneil didn't seem like too concerned based on the language, but again, like you said, it's a matter of how it felt. I mean, there would have been, I'm guessing there were a lot of ice bags. It wouldn't have been a long flight from Vegas from Vegas to Salt Lake City. But I'm guessing that Nikolai Ehlers had quite a bit of ice bags rolling on that body between the ankle and the inside of the leg there. So yeah. And there, but he was out there drawing penalties and kind of flaying through it, but at the end he had to kind of sit down for a good chunk of that third. And yeah, I mean, people are, they hold their breath when Nikolai Ehlers goes down, because we know what kind of impact he's had this season. He's been a consistent play driver. He's a key cog on that first power play unit, and no matter what line he's been on, he's made that line effective. So obviously we'll see what Ehlers' status is for Saturday night against Utah HC here, but it seemed as though Scott Arneil was, encouraged, but I mean, we'll see. The practice is a little bit later than usual, 1:45 local time, which is 2:45 your time, Huss. So it's also another classic time zone special here. What city are you in? What is the hotel room number? And
Check your
what time
phone.
zone are we in? Yeah, what time zone are
Hey,
we in?
how
Because
long
I
was
checked
that
the
flight?
Iowa. Say again.
Like you just did
Hour
that flight
20.
this morning. Oh, hour
Yeah,
20.
hour and
Okay,
10 or
so
so.
not a real
Yeah, it's
long
not
one.
bad. It's not
Basically
bad, no.
Winnipeg, Minneapolis sort of thing.
Yeah, that idea for sure. Like in between Minnie and Regina, that kind of idea where depending on what elevation you're getting to, and as soon as you feel like you've hit altitude, you're already on your way down. So, yeah, I mean, but also too, as you mentioned, Huss, like those things kind of swell up as you get in the air. So we'll see how it goes, and even we may not even have a full picture today because I mean, let's be honest here.
Totally. He
There was a
probably won't
chance.
skate.
Yeah, there was a chance on Thursday that, based on Luke Schenn being out with Ville Heinola, it was seemingly unlikely that he was going to play. It looked like he was on the fourth pairing. But then he didn't stay out late, and then you're kind of wondering it's going to be game time decision. And when Luke Schenn came out of the tunnel and then started taking rushes with Dylan Samberg, then you knew that Luke Schenn was going to be in. So could be a similar thing with Ehlers and Huss. The problem here is that even though it's a hockey night game at a normal 6:00, it's a 5:00 start here in Salt Lake. So I think that means there won't be a morning skate. So the Blues clues will not there's the breadcrumbs will be hard to find here. Let's put it that way. Hopefully we get an update today, and if we don't, we'll see whether or not Nikolai Ehlers comes out of the tunnel at 5:30 Winnipeg time for that warm up.
That's why we're turning notifications on for @Weeb's World on the old X machine for the next little bit. Not that they should always be on. I mean, you don't tweet frivolously. Many good takes there and important information for Winnipeg Jet fans. But yeah, I don't know whether we'll know much about the lineup until people turn on the TV or get the reports from you in the building coming up on Saturday. Go ahead.
What we do know is the impact that Jared Anderson Dolan had in his Winnipeg Jets debut.
He was good.
Just quickly there, 6 hits in just under 9 minutes. I mean, he did everything that he was asked to do. So, David Gustafson had an unfortunate turnover in the neutral zone that led to a goal. I don't see this as punishment as much as the door was left ajar a little bit. And Huss, it was a perfect game to get Anderson Dolan in against Vegas. He brought speed. He brought physical play. He brought smarts. He's a guy that you can use on the penalty kill if you need to. If you need to get a fourth rotation in there, or if one of your regular penalty killers is in the box, Anderson Dolan is ready to roll. So, and you also and I don't think you can understate this part of it, Huss. The LA Kings and Vegas Golden Knights, they're not really friendly with one another. So I'm guessing that Anderson Dolan had, I'm not sure he had beef with anybody on that roster, but he would have been fired up to have his debut against them. Would he have loved to do it on Tuesday against the Kings, his old team? Of course, but you could tell that he was ready and to make an impact, and he did exactly what he was asked. Provided energy on a fourth line, brought a little bit more speed and a little bit more, physical play to the table. And Scott Arneil said flat out he wanted to see if Anderson Dolan might be an option, whether it's injury related or performance related, at some point in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This was a good chance to get him in, and I liked what I saw. And Huss, people forget Anderson Dolan just about made the team out of training camp. He was a great candidate to either be the 13th or 14th forward until he took that shot off the foot and broke his foot. I know he had a tough year with the Manitoba Moose to start, and yes, we know he's in the running for the green jacket and in the American Hockey League, but he's had a really good second half, was rewarded for it, and showed why he had been an NHL player for a good chunk of his career.
It's your boy Bruce in the chat. He was doling out some hits. Come
not
on,
bad,
Bruce.
not bad, Bruce, not bad.
A little bit potential grown territory, but we appreciate the effort. To the surprise of absolutely nobody, Ken, the Nashville Predators did the Jets no favors last night. Dallas wins again, and it's like two tennis players holding serve again, although the Jets had a much tougher opponent to hold serve against.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a fun race, and it was something I asked Josh Morrissey and Scott Arneil about. And, Huss, I mean, I know that, the fan base would prefer the Jets were up by 10 points and knew who they were going to be playing in round one. But the benefits of having to go back and forth here down the stretch is going to help them when it comes to game 83. And hey, I get it. Jets fans have PTSD from 2019 when they basically had control of the Central Division all year long, only to drop out of first place, have to play the St. Louis Blues, and have a quick exit in 6 games. I get it. But they're not collapsing down the stretch this year, Huss. They're playing very well down the stretch. Yes, the Stars have won 7 in a row. Yes, the St. Louis Blues have won 11 in a row. But the Jets are like barely 2.5 weeks removed from 11 in a row, right? So, I mean, they're having a great year. We know the April 10th game next Thursday is probably going to decide the division, but the Jets also have to take care of business in those other games because they can't bank on the Stars losing. That's not to say the Stars are going to run the table. They might, but we know crazy things happen in the NHL. Teams you don't expect to beat other teams suddenly, like the Buffalo Sabres, have victories over the Jets and Capitals, and I think they had another crazy one this week over a top 5 team. So you just never know what's going to happen. Jets need to take care of their own business. It's about how they play. Again, would they love to keep first place in the division, in the conference, first overall? Of course they would. But they're not going to cancel the season if the Dallas Stars happen to pass them in the last day or two. But I think the Jets have put themselves in a really good spot, Huss. They're going to be ready. You said it. The Jets needed to answer and have a response game against Vegas, exactly what they did. Last time they played Washington, same idea. Last time against Dallas, they played their best game of the entire season. On Thursday, you could argue, I think their first 2 periods were among the best they've played all year long. A little bit, they sat back a little bit too much in the third, bit of a shooting gallery for Comry, but that was a score effects game, Huss. So the Jets are playing some of their best hockey, and they want to continue to do that as they peak down the stretch here.
Wiebe, do you think Rennie is going to be, how much longer do you think Rennie is going to be on Ovi Watch? I will say this, and a little peek ahead to the Coolbet lines. 20-1 on an Ovi hat trick tonight. I could not resist. At home to the Chicago Blackhawks. Hey, we all remember when he beat Gordie Howe. It was not 1 but 2 against the Winnipeg Jets in a game. It would not shock me at all if he had 3 in the chamber tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coming soon. I know from speaking with Sean a little bit during the show, but afterwards also, the Caps game has sort of gone a little bit sideways. Like, it's not quite like San Jose Sharks trying to get Erik Karlsson the puck every single shift so he could get 100 points, but it's not far off. They haven't been playing to their identity, but Ovechkin's been dangerous. We've seen it. I mean, he almost had one the other night that Dubois tipped, so he could have been one step closer. But yeah, I mean, at one point we were wondering if Sean might make it home before the playoffs, but I'm here to say that in the next week, Sean will be on a plane, and maybe, he's scheduled to host the game Jets at Blackhawks next Saturday. I'm going to say he'll be in the host chair by next Saturday. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, I originally
for your standings, Huss, I hope it's today. Let's.
Well, for
guy
sure.
wants to cash in.
I do have a 5-1. I do had a 5-1 from about a month and a half ago that he would do it against Columbus because they've got the back-to-back games next weekend.
Oh, right, yeah.
But just thinking about this opportunity tonight, everyone's going to be in the building. They're going to be at home. If he gets one early, watch out. I mean, this could be the night. Did you catch any of that Canes Caps game a couple days ago?
No, Sean was telling me about it. I know it was a little feisty and spicy and lots of talk about Chatfield and everything else. And
did you see the Chatfield play though? Like, have you seen that?
I still haven't had a chance to look. I from what I've heard from a lot of people, I don't like what I've heard about it. And
dude, it was full UFC. It was full UFC.
Yeah.
I mean, leg out, brutal.
It's just
hip
dangerous.
Toss that, so dangerous. Well, Kenny, this is going to be interesting. Got to get it done tomorrow. And just quickly on Utah, this is a team that has played the Jets very, very tight so far this season. And of course, we remember what happened the last time the team was in Utah. That was Scott Arneil's bones moment. Not pleased, and he'll be looking for a team that looks a lot more like the team that played Vegas last night than the one that took to the ice against the hockey club their last time in Utah.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you said, that sort of sparked the turnaround in the second. I mean, again, they've had very few missteps, but that sort of got them on that roll, right? So, and as you mentioned, I mean, their game in Winnipeg was also tight for at least 2 periods. So Andre Tourigny has done a good job of game planning, but the Utah Hockey Club is also sort of in, absolute, again, I hate must win, that terminology, but they've got 12 available points and have to make up 9. So for Utah HC, they are in virtual must-win territory. They've had some good moments. They're riding Karel Vejmelka. I think it's going to be his 20th start. I'm pretty sure Elliot mentioned on 32 Thoughts today that he's rolled 19 in a row. And, with Connor Ingram having the unfortunate, not setback, but having to deal with some mental health stuff after losing his mom this year, it sort of has left them with no alternative or no viable alternative than to roll with their number one. Vejmelka's had some great games against the Jets, but he's also had some moments where he's given up, 4 or 5. So I would think that the Jets this isn't going to be a letdown territory for the Jets either, Huss. That's what we know. They've got 6 left. They know they're going to have to win the majority of them if they wanted to win the division. I expect that yesterday's game will help propel them into their best of 3 efforts against Utah HC. And you're going to see a lot of hunger from the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday night, on hockey night.
Listen, just before we go, because I know you got to get to practice, it was great seeing you last Saturday over at Nicolino's. Yeah. Quite a banger for your 50th. The who's who of friends, family, the Winnipeg media all out to celebrate 50 great trips around the sun. I do know that you've got company on the trip. Any big plans tonight in Utah? What is on the docket after you finish up your professional duties today?
Yeah, I don't have the firm plans yet. That'll be the test after the writing gets done. Grab the early nap, so hopefully I get a nice dinner. But it should be a lot of fun. It was great to see you. Thanks for being there. It was just an awesome scene for sure. Great venue, and obviously we both know Nick very well, and that was a fantastic place to be celebrating with a great cornucopia of folks. Right, we had worlds colliding in all places, and love to have good people in the same building, some of whom know each other well, some of whom don't know each other at all. But it was just fantastic. So, but it should be a fun couple days here. As I mentioned, the only thing after getting the work done on Sunday, gonna get out to Park City. Huss, oddly enough, and this is getting into the hot tub time machine territory. The last time I was in Utah for a Manitoba Moose versus Utah Grizzlies, I had given strong consideration to going to Park City to see none other than Limp Bizkit. But I had to pass at the end of the day. Didn't have a rental car. Was a little, it was one of those things. This is pre-StubHub era, so it was going to be a little bit of a scene to try to find the ticket and print it off at your hotel lobby computer and whatever else. So some regrets not making it there. So we're going to try to get up there on Sunday for a little bit. But it's going to be fantastic. And then just one last shout out. I said it on the show, but to the folks in Altona who knew him well, one of my biggest inspirations for writing, Peter Hildebrandt, passed away yesterday. Someone who had a huge influence on my career, where I am today. And I just want to let the family know that I'm thinking about him. A lot of people that went to W.C. Miller Collegiate had Mr. Hildebrandt as an English teacher. He was also very involved in the sporting community in Altona, coached the Maroons for a long time, very involved in baseball, and thinking of his wife, Gert, and his family here in the last couple of days. And like I said, I just eternally grateful for what he did for me, both as an athlete and as a lover of the writing of words. So shout out to you, Peter Hildebrandt.
Appreciate that. And again, shout out to you and Rennie for going the extra mile. K&R After Dark from coast to coast, literally. This week. We'll look forward to the show tomorrow after the game against Utah, and then a big one right back at it Monday. Hellebuck, Binnington, St. Louis Jets.
Tremendous.
This is going to be a really, really fun week. It feels like the playoffs have already started.
You got it. And for the folks who haven't checked it out, colleague Mike McIntyre was up in Verdun and got a great chat in with Braden Yager, and as he played with the Lethbridge Hurricanes in Game 4 against the Brandon Wheat Kings. And we got Dump and Chase up on Saturday, and I'll be writing either about Adam Lowry or Nikolai Ehlers, depending on the update today. So, Huss, always great to be with you, my friend. Have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to reconvening next week again here.
Yeah, you bet. You guys have a great weekend, fun evening tonight after you finish up, and we'll look forward to all of your dispatches in the Winnipeg Free Press. Take it easy, Ken.
Cheers, my friend.
All right, there is Wiebe. All right, little bit of a programming change. Our pal Hacksaw is unfortunately not going to be able to join us today. He's kind of got tied up. It's going to be later on I don't want it to impact marbles too much. So that means a little bit more Jets and hockey talk with Connor. We're going to get to Adam Lowry actually coming up in a minute. Talk a little bit more about last night's game tonight. And then we will talk Jays for a few minutes with our buddy Johnny Giunta from the Gate 14 podcast. But hey, I had a great time last night amongst the many friends that were out watching the game with us last night. Both Greg and Gerald from Royal Sports were there. And it was funny. We were talking about everything with the show and realizing these guys have been with us and supporting us since the days of the NFL Sunday Ticket Show. And hey, they're now over 50 years in business here in Winnipeg as the #1 sports superstore in the city. And listen, as we get ready for the playoffs, gang, they are pulling out all the stops and pulling out all the whites. Right now at Royal Sports, a massive whiteout section with all white Jets gear, player T-shirts, hoodies, jerseys, you name it, they've got it. But business has been very brisk as the excitement builds to the playoffs. So I would suggest get down to Royal Sports tonight or on the weekend, check it out and grab it before stock is scarce as Jet fans get ready for the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs in game 1 and 2 of the first round here in Winnipeg in a couple of weeks. Of course, while you're there, check out all the cool stuff on the King Skate, Snow, and Surf side, getting ready for spring and summer. And pop by the back as well. Bikes coming in each and every week as we look to get back on 2 wheels and back outside. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. And check them out on Insta at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. And hey, I know there were lots of folks at BP's last night that were rocking and rolling. 4 Jet goals meant 4 winners on the BP Pick a Player contest. And of course, with the late night happy hour and a big 4-0 win, a few better places to be than your local Boston Pizza last night. Of course, Saturday night, 6 p.m. start. It's Jets, Utah. Get your gang out to your local BP. Enjoy those Pick a Player contests and win great prizes from Boston Pizza. Enjoy those ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, and gourmet pizzas as well. And hey, if you are staying at home tonight or any night, you can always get it hot and fresh to your door at bostonpizza.com. Hey, the weekend is here. And speaking of Boston Pizza, don't forget you can grab Little Brown Jug at BP Garden City on tap now, BP Polo Park as well. Keep your eyes out for it around the city. And hey, it might be a great time as it gets a little nicer to get down to Little Brown Jug in the Exchange and enjoy everything they've got. The patio is going to be open soon. Cannot wait for it. But hey, the weekend is here. Just before we bring Connor back in, a big cheers from our friends at Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's get Connor back in here and fun check-in with Wiebe on the road in Utah.
Love the shades.
This game, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know whether that's because he had 2 hours sleep or because he was outside, but either
Vegas
are acceptable today. The boys really going the extra mile this week, especially with Ren out on the East Coast doing these late night games. I mean, but the shows have been great. And obviously last one, a lot of fired up Jet fans in the chat after the 4-0 win. But looking ahead to tomorrow, Connor, just before we hear from Adam Lowry, this game is like, I don't want to call this a trap game. I mean, you can't take anything for granted right now. You can't be looking ahead to this big home game against the St. Louis Blues on Monday. And as we mentioned, the last time the team showed up in Utah to play the HC, it didn't go well, and the coach wasn't pleased at all. And I would imagine that memory will still be fresh for the coaching staff, and they'll reinforce that with the squad before the puck drops tomorrow.
Well, Huss, what happened after that loss? What was it, 11 straight wins, franchise record? So they got the message across after that loss. That was embarrassing, as Scott Arneil put it. But yeah, I think we'll see a better effort for sure. And I think a lot of what burned the Jets in that game has burned them like recently as well with the LA game, the mistakes at key times. Utah is like a young team that really capitalizes off the rush. So if they get rush chances, they're doing creative things. They've got Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, Clayton Keller doing all these fun things off the rush. If you hand them the puck, you hand them 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, you're playing right into their play style. So the Jets will need to play more like the Vegas style. I know this is a Captain Obvious take, but Ken brought up the puck management being a lot better in Vegas than it was in LA. They'll need to continue that on Saturday because Utah is a team that can really take advantage of that. And that's what they did in that 5-2 win in late January, right before the Jets rattled off 11 straight wins. But yeah, I think you'll see a good effort. And then next week, St. Louis and Dallas. What a big week ahead next week for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that win was so big for the Jets to still have that cushion, albeit Dallas is 4 back with a game in hand. And it does seem like this really is going to come down to 6 days from now in the Lone Star State with the Winnipeg Jets and Dallas. But I think that, and as I mentioned, it was I kind of joked that it was a tough day for the Jets doomsday cult of everyone that, is, every time the team loses, all the season's over, it's done, which gets honestly pretty tiring and exhausting when you have a team that's on top of the National Hockey League. But as Ken mentioned, there is some scar tissue. Everyone fans their own way. But this week and this game, really leading up to Dallas. I mean, we're not overlooking Saturday for sure. And that home game against the St. Louis Blues, like, last year, this team rattled off 8 in a row going into the playoffs, and they beat the daylights out of Colorado in Denver 7-0 in game number 81. But we saw what happened in the playoffs after game number 1. This year, I'm not sure this isn't a good thing for the Jets, to be honest with you, playing this intensity, this level of game, with stakes being what they are right now, because, you want to be playing well going in. We saw last year that being on a big winning streak doesn't necessarily do or mean anything once you drop the puck on the playoffs. But for a team that has been pretty damn consistent all season long, to ramp it up with more intensity, I mean, it is a nice way in a lot of ways to truly prepare yourself for what's going to come with a big-time opponent, no matter really how things shake out at the end of 82.
Yeah, after the LA game, Scott Arneil scoffed at the fact that it was maybe a measuring stick game, and that's fine because they are on top of the league.
Whoa,
yeah,
whoa, for us? Whoa.
Yeah,
One of the lines of the year from Arneil.
Yes, which for him, fair enough. They're on top of the league. Absolutely, he can have that mindset. But we can sit here on Winnipeg Sports Talk and say that there are measuring stick games coming up here. The Jets are the number 1 team, but you want to see how you play against a team like St. Louis, who is quite literally the hottest team in the NHL, 11 straight wins, on the road against Dallas, on the road against Vegas, the home game against Dallas, the home game against Washington. These are all games where down the stretch here, you're going to learn a lot about your group. And the Jets have risen to the occasion in those games. The LA game, we've talked about it a lot, pretty even game outside of some mistakes, but there's a lot more to like than there is to dislike coming out of this Four Nations break at a time of the year, Huss, that I should add. I mean, last year they had the 8-game winning streak, but we're not quite at that point yet. I guess they do have exactly 8 games left, or maybe it's 7 now after last night. But this is a time of the year, or maybe a little bit earlier, where the Jets typically slide. There's cracks in their game. We're not sure if they're playing at the highest level. How many times have we been sitting here in April saying, can the Jets flip the switch come playoff time? This year, the switch is on. They're playing great. They're winning big games, and the tests are coming that next week, right? Utah, we're not overlooking them, of course, but St. Louis and Dallas, those are games where you're going to learn a lot about what this team is playing like down the stretch here. And hey, they're the number 1 team in points percentage, points in the league, wins. They're going to match, or they've matched a franchise record in wins with 2017-18 and last year with 52. And they've got all these games down the stretch here to break that record. And it's been a special season. And hey, we're looking in the rearview mirror so much. Why not look ahead? What if this team wins the President's Trophy? Like, look forward instead of back. That's the direction this team is going right now, for sure.
And that seems like that's what they've done all along. They've just focused on the next one. And listen, I know the preparation and the mindset of players and the organization and coaches are maybe a little different than fans, but hey, it's been working so far for Winnipeg, and they'll need to be at their best tomorrow to continue this streak of being on top of the Central Division and staying ahead of the Dallas Stars. The Stars, for their part, I believe they go back-to-back this weekend. I'm just going to pull this up. I know that they've got the Minnesota Wild on April 6th. Yeah, so they've got a home game against Pittsburgh tomorrow afternoon. Oh, let's go, Sid. Make something happen tomorrow. And listen, they played very well against St. Louis. I mean, they ended up losing 5-4 in OT last night. And then they'll get on a plane, head out, and have an early game against the Minnesota Wild on Sunday. So you will not hear this very often on WST, but let's go Wild on Sunday afternoon, Connor.
Well, I'll also say, we just mentioned how last year the Jets won 8 straight games, but they weren't really playing that well through those games. That's what's happening with Dallas right now. They've won 7 straight games, but they should have lost at least 4 of them. Like, they're getting the last night against Nashville. We all watched the first period and a half before the Jets game came on. Nashville was like tripling them in shots on goal. They were winning 1-0, and the Dallas Stars just kind of float through that game and end up winning it. The Calgary game on the road, the second Seattle game, I thought Seattle was the better team in that one. Like, they've won 7 straight games, but there are cracks in their game. And I know it doesn't matter because the Jets need the 1 seed and Dallas is getting the results one way or another. But that is the kind of team that they're on this huge winning streak. Maybe it's a false sense of security. They're going to go up against the Colorado Avalanche in round 1 if the Jets are able to pull away and get this 1 seed. And they might have suffered the same fate that the Jets did last year and in a very similar scenario, right? And I know they're injured and Miro Heiskanen is hurt right now for them, but this 7-game winning streak has not been their best hockey. And I say that as someone who's watching them every night, hoping for the other team to win. And it's frustrating because the other teams are playing better, but Dallas just finds a way.
Well,
it's kind of ridiculous, and they're winning.
I'm right there with you. I watched. I mean, I went out early to catch the first 2 periods before we flipped over and kind of just locked in on the Jets. And I mean, they got that late goal in the second period by Granlund, I believe, that tied it up. And then you're like, oh man, okay, here they go. And then the Wyatt Johnson goal early in the second or early in the third was not particularly good, and Annunen had played pretty well at that point. But I mean, listen, they're getting saves, but I'm with you. I think that there's a whole nother level that the Stars will see. Whether we get that this week in that huge matchup on Thursday, I guess remains to be seen. But they've got a lot of work to do this weekend to keep pace. A 2:00 game tomorrow, and then second and a back-to-back with travel in between, heading to the Twin Cities on Sunday to take on the Minnesota Wild. Now, we promised you Adam Lowry. We do want to get to Ovechkin. We'll kind of probably tie that into our Cool Bet Lines conversation before we do marbles. But right now, Andrew, if you want to get the captain ready, let's hear from Adam Lowry, who had a monster game last night for the Winnipeg Jets. A shift that exemplifies the Jets and that line at their best, starting off with strong defensive play in their own end and turning it into a goal by taking it to the net in the others. As he mentioned, it had been a minute since he scored a goal, so the captain was in fine spirits after last night's 4-0 win in Las Vegas.
Adam, what impressed you most about the response from your group today?
Yeah, you know what, I think especially the first period and a half, we did a really good job of limiting what we gave up. Real suffocating forechecks, real tight defensive structure, obviously. We didn't necessarily love the third period. We sat back. I think sometimes you have that tendency, you're up a few goals as the team starts pushing, they start activating their D. I think that's something we'll take a look at, it's just correct for Utah. But, the start here, I thought right from the get-go, we were being direct. We were, second quick on pucks. And, just winning the races, I think that was kind of the difference. Some good sticks. Al made a heck of a play. on Shife's goal to get us going. And, it's always big to score here first.
Yeah, I mean, for you personally, I know you bring a lot to the table, but nice to get one first in, I think, 11 for you. Especially as timely as it was, right?
I've been ice cold. So, I feel like the last few games I've had some chances, and, they hadn't fallen for me. So, a good shot by Stan, great net front battle by Nino, and just lucky that the puck was laying there. I was able to get it by him. I think going into the intermission up two, you have a good feeling, especially the way we played. I think real suffocating, real tight hockey. That's kind of what you have to do against a real dangerous team. Real great off the rush. Obviously they show that in the third. They had a big push, and we were kind of caught on our heels. But Com's had a heck of a game, and really happy for him to get the shutout, and he really earned that, especially in the third.
All right, so there's the captain, and listen, the shots were 14-3 in the third, and Eric Comrie did make some good saves. I heard Elliot Friedman, I don't know if you caught this earlier today, talking about the game, Connor, and he said, listen, that was a masterpiece through two periods. You knew there'd be a push from Vegas, but, I mean, that was vintage score effects, if you will, when looking at the shot clock at the end of the game, because the Jets did not give up very much in the first couple of periods. And then the Vegas Golden Knights had to get aggressive, put a lot of pucks on net, and Eric Comrie stood tall. I'm going to hit you with this, but also everybody in the chat. Let's get to the why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. I think Eric Comrie obviously gets the shutout, and it was the star. We're all talking about him. But, when you look back at last night's game, gang, who was sort of your unsung hero of the game? I think after Comrie, with getting the shutout and the way he shut the door in the third period, there's so many people that I think deserve a nod. I think I might start with Alex Iafallo. Once again, playing an impactful role in both ends, filling the huge shoes of Gabriel Vilardi. And the importance of that first goal was so big, Connor, as we talked about yesterday. And the way that he did it, taking it off the face onto his own stick, having the composure to keep going, waiting out the defenseman, and doing a perfect cross-ice pass to Mark Scheifele for the wide-open one-timer. To me, AI, I think, would get a lot of consideration. What about you?
Alex Iafallo is the unsung hero of the Winnipeg Jets, right? Like that's the guy that flies under the radar. He's moving up to the top line, doing a great job in Gabriel Vilardi's absence. Is it fair to say, I was going to say Colin Miller, but he scored. That's a little too obvious. I'll go Nino Niederreiter. I agreed with Ken's take that I thought that was his best game in a few weeks last night. Getting back with Adam Lowry and Mason Appleton on a familiar third line. And that's another player that can really elevate his game as we near the playoffs here. I thought he was great. That line was cycling the puck all night long. Adam Lowry gets the goal that Nino Niederreiter played a role in as well. So I'll go Nino Niederreiter for the unsung hero. There's a lot of players that had a bigger impact in the game for sure, but one that maybe flies under the radar is Nino, and I liked Ken's take on that, so I'll go with him.
Yeah, well, let's see what the peeps have to say. Let's do a little fan feedback, courtesy and brought to you by Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market with no fees. What you see is what you pay when you're getting tickets on Fans First, and an amazing spot for season ticket holders and people that might have an extra pair of tickets to get rid of theirs, whether it's well in advance or on game day. Again, great customer service. And the minute you post your seats at the particular price, you know exactly what you're going to be getting back with quick and prompt payment into your bank account the very next business day after the game. All right, Fans First, fan feedback. Winnipeg puck is going with Shen. Funner, says Luke. More love for the big guy. Interim coach Dolan played well. Phyllis, for me, it was Shen who was the unsung hero of the game. Mr. Block Machine. More love for Shen. Johnny Bender, Leslie Mitchnuk. Mr. Shrek said Stanley. Iafallo's fillings. Dark Moon says Iafallo. And DJ22 said Colin Miller, unsung. A bunch of really good options. And I think everyone is a legitimate contributor to what was a big win for the Winnipeg Jets. Keep your thoughts coming on the unsung hero of last night's win. Fan feedback is brought to you by Fans First, by fans, for fans, no fees. Check out the site today at fansfirst.ca. Connor, it's kind of a fun question coming out of last night's game because, a lot of love for Luke Shannon. I totally get it. And listen, I think that if you're going on the blue line, he would be the guy, not only the presence that he had out there and what he was able to do, but just how much quieter things looked on that third pairing with Shen able to assume that role, playing more minutes and tougher competition with Dylan Sandberg.
Yeah, the chat knows puck. That's a good pick. A lot of people picking Luke Shen. I love it. He's been an unsung hero really of every game. Like, he's not a player that's going to put up eye-popping offensive numbers, or he's not going to have the big clapper from the point like Colin Miller did last night, but his game lies in the details and boxing players out in front of the net and being tough to play against. Like, the first game he played, he crushed Arthur Kaliev in the corner with a clean hit, and Kaliev was like out for the season with an upper body injury after that hit. He didn't return to the game, but it was a clean hit right along the wall, like doing that kind of stuff, not injuring players, but like being tough to play against in the corners, boxing out players in front of the net, making sure that your MVP goaltender can see the pucks, because we know how much of an issue that was last year against Colorado with high screens and deflections. Luke Shen has been a great addition to this team. And I think once Neil Pionk comes back and Shen kind of slides down into that third pair role, you're going to see an even bigger impact from the penalty kill. And even while he's playing less minutes, he's going to be able to bring that game in a more efficient way, that physical style and penalty killing style. So I like the Luke Shen pick from the chat there.
Yeah, a lot of love for Iafallo as well. Darkmoon need to re-sign Iafallo and keep him here. BA had the pass from Alex was next level. There's a lot. The Vivian, another one with Logan Stanley, who listen. I mean, Stan, if he avoids it does sound sometimes and feels like a ticking time bomb, but if that bomb doesn't go off, there was a lot of good things that he did last night, and it is avoiding that coming up. All right, this is how things are going to roll, folks. We're about to bring in Johnny Genta to talk a little Blue Jays for a few minutes from the Gate 14 pod. In about 10 minutes during the Johnny interview, we will open up marbles in the chat. So don't do it yet, but just pay attention for the prompt. And then when we're finished with Johnny, we'll come back. We'll do a last call. We'll hit the cool bet lines. And then Andrew will guide us through the marble race today with Remus being away. The normal maestro of marbles is gone, but we've got AZ here, and we will do a marble race today. So coming up, we'll get those lines on Ovi tonight to potentially break the record, what that's looking like and more. Be patient. 10 minutes. We'll open up marbles registration at 2:45. But right now, stepping away from the Jets and hockey for a minute, let's bring in our buddy from the Gate 14 pod, Johnny Giunta, to talk about a great first week for the Toronto Blue Jays of the Major League season. Nice start for the Toronto Blue Jays to the 2025 season. And backed by popular demand on Winnipeg Sports Talk is one of the brains behind the very popular Gate 14 podcast covering the Toronto Blue Jays, none other than Johnny Baseball himself, Johnny Giunta. What is up, my man? It is great to have you back in the peg on WST.
It's great to be back. And listen, I follow loosely the Winnipeg Jets because obviously I follow you, so I see all the stuff. I mean, you guys got a little wagon over there. It's getting better. It's cool for the Winnipeg Jets fans because you got the Blue Jays, who are currently the best team in the AL East, and you got the Winnipeg Jets, who are just steamrolling teams like they did last night. So things couldn't be better for you guys.
You know what? That is in wrestling, we would call that a cheap pop, my man. You come on and glaze the Jets, you'll be even more popular than you were the last time you were coming on. The thing is, the Central Division in the NHL kind of feels like the AL East with a lot of big bad teams, and staying on top is going to take a lot of work. But yeah, you're right. The vibes are high in Winnipeg. Big win last night heading into the weekend. And I got to say, around Blue Jay land, the vibes are pretty high as well. A really nice start to the season, despite so much apparent doom and gloom going into the first of 162.
Yeah, it's listen, I mean, they came into the season as the underdogs, obviously. I mean, plus 1,000 to win the division. And then they kind of split with the Orioles. Tough opening day where my mentions on Twitter were the sky was falling, and they come back on Friday and just dog walk the Orioles. So the vibes are high, man. And the thing is, and positive Johnny here, it's like they're doing this. They're 5-2, and Bo, Vladdy, and Santander don't even have home runs. They're doing this with the middle of the order and like Andres Jimenez. George Springer looks like 2021 Springer. And you got Alejandro Kirk doing what Thick Jesus does. So the vibes are high right now, and massive, massive series against the New York Mets this weekend.
Yeah, listen, I mean, there's so much uncertainty about the future of Vlad Guerrero, but speaking of contracts, the thick one, Alejandro Kirk gets a deal. And what did you think about that deal? And dive in a little bit to the importance of Kirk to the team, to the locker room, and what this means to have him behind the plate as a real anchor for this team for the next 5 years.
Man, he truly is an anchor in multiple ways than one, if you know what I mean. He is a massive part of the Toronto Blue Jays. We're talking about one of the best defensive catchers in baseball, a Gold Glove winner, a guy that you don't realize how good he is until you watch him play and steal strikes. He's so good at framing the ball. He's gotten significantly better at throwing runners out. I mean, this is a guy who – this is a sport where like back in the day, catchers weren't supposed to hit. Like catchers were supposed to be good defensively. You throw them at the bottom of the order. And now we're kind of in a new age where you kind of expect catchers to hit. But Alejandro Kirk is a massive part of the team. The pitching staff talks about how important he is. And you've seen it so far this season, man. He's looked unbelievable at the plate, really good at the plate, and just steals ton of strikes. And it all starts with him, with this team's success. So I'm so happy he signed that deal. It kind of eats into his contract years, but takes away his arbitration years. And they clearly did the right move, man, because he is so good behind the plate and can play tons of games for you.
What's the feeling about the Vlad situation right now? I mean, we always hear, oh, well, if it's not done at this day, it's not getting done. And we all know that is posturing in a lot of ways. Do you have any expectations that something might get done, or is this going to be the story around the Blue Jays, regardless of the wins and losses all season?
I think it's simmered down a little bit, but I do think at the end of the day, man, it's a negotiation tactic. You give deadlines. You give deadlines to kind of push things across the finish line. And unfortunately, that deadline for Vladdy didn't work. I believe he wants $500 million. Hasn't played great to start the year, but he is known to be a slow starter. The dude had 5 home runs, I believe, by May of last year, which is not great. But I think they're just kind of letting it play out, man. Like hit yourself into a contract or hit yourself out of a contract. And I am under the belief they offered him $500 million. I could be incorrect on that, but it's $500 million with deferrals, so it's not $500 million present value, and I believe that's what he wants. But it's a weird situation. It's a weird situation with a guy who is so up and down. 2023, he had like a 1.4 F WAR, which is replacement level player, and then last year he wins a Silver Slugger. So it's a guy who's had 5-6 years of a career where you don't really know what you're going to get. You have really no idea what you're going to get, but you know he is a very, very good talent, and he is very, very young. He thinks his worth is very high, and the Jays think it's something else. So we'll see what happens this year, but I'm under the belief Vladdy will be a Blue Jay forever. I really am.
You know, it's interesting that, you had that core of young studs that have all come up together. All the conversations has been around Vlad, and I get it, but we haven't heard a lot about Bo. Like, fill us in on the other side of that. And are you surprised that it seems to be so heavily weighted towards Guerrero talk and we haven't heard a lot about Bichette?
I just think because Vladdy is less reserved than Bo, it is probably the reason. I mean, we've went out with Bo a couple times. We've got the pleasure of meeting him and going out with him. And he's a very reserved, quiet guy and doesn't like to be in the spotlight, kind of just likes to play baseball. But if you look at it from a baseball standpoint, it makes a lot more sense to pay a shortstop than to pay a first baseman. A first baseman is not a premium position. You can kind of fill that gap with guys around the league that hit home runs but don't hit for average. Vladdy's the best one in the league, but first baseman contracts have been known to age very, very poorly. Bo Bichette is unbelievable, and I think people forgot that last year with him being injured and him having a really bad season, but this is a guy who's led baseball in hits back-to-back seasons. Should have been 3 seasons in a row if he didn't get injured. People forget that in 2023. This is a guy I have full-blown trust in. He's been great defensively this year, and he's figured it out defensively in the past couple of years. So if they pay Bo and Vladdy ends up walking, is it the end of the world in Blue Jays land? I don't know. But again, I want Vladdy to be a Blue Jay for life. I want Bo to be a Blue Jay for life. But Bo Bichette is going to be a monster this year. And I think people are starting to realize that.
Yeah, listen, he's had a great start, and yet you are right. Vlad has never been known for hitting the cover off the ball in the first couple weeks of April,
Yeah.
but hopefully that'll come soon. A guy that has been doing that is a newcomer to the Jays. Everyone told us that Jimenez is, a vacuum defensively, and he's going to help the team, but he can't hit. And there he is hitting cleanup in the first game of the season, and he's now got 3 bombs, 6 RBIs. Pretty nice first week as a Blue Jay for Andres.
Yeah, he is. I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. I had very, very low expectations offensive-wise for Andres. But again, we're talking about a guy who is 2 years removed from hitting like 285 with like a 7.3 F WAR, I believe it was. So who was like top 10 in MVP voting. It's a guy who had a tough year last year, and I believe the year before, or it was just last year. But Andres Jimenez made multiple adjustments to his swing. I saw a Baseball Savant tweet about it where his feet are closer, his hands are more relaxed when he's setting up, and it's worked absolute wonders for the guy. Do I expect him to lead the team in home runs? No. Last year he had 3 home runs by, I believe it was May. But like, this is a guy who has hitting the ball, the cover off of the ball, who has been unbelievable for this team so far. So I just say run him out in the 4 hole until he loses that job, man. At the end of the day, it's a one. They go through the lineup once. He's going to be hitting 4th in the lineup once during a game, and he's been unbelievable for this team. And he's picked up the slack for guys you did pay to expect home runs from, like Santander and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But shout out Andres, Hall of Famer in my mind. We call him Hall of Fame Jimenez. And what a surprise this guy has been for our Toronto Blue Jays, man.
Hey, speaking of surprises, just before we get to the arms and the pitching, for folks that have maybe they caught a bit of the opening day game but haven't really locked in yet. Any other newcomers that have impressed you? I mean, who how else have they been doing this outside of the big guys that we all expect to hear?
George Springer turning back the clock, like I mentioned, man. I mean, this guy is raking, absolutely raking. And I think he's sacrificing swing and miss for hitting the ball hard. And he's been hitting the ball extremely hard in the air. He's been unbelievable. Alejandro Kirk has been kind of carrying that as well. Alan Roden being called up right off the rip has been unbelievable as well. So there's been tons and tons of things that has made this baseball team be successful in 5-2 so far this season. And it all starts with Andres Jimenez, like I mentioned. But George Springer has been kind of the unsung hero. He's been absolutely carrying, man. Absolutely carrying. So shout out Springer. But if you want to talk about newcomers and go into arms, Yimi Garcia and Jeff Hoffman, 2 guys they picked up this offseason, albeit Yimi Garcia was here last year. But Jeff Hoffman, already 3 saves, and we're a week into the season. And Yimi Garcia has yet to give up a run, knock on wood, obviously. But the back end of this bullpen has been absolutely lights out, and it's been because of those 2, as well as Brendan Little, who's a homegrown talent with this team.
Was the bullpen going into this season the biggest question mark for you for the Blue Jays?
Yeah, I mean, last year the bullpen was statistically the worst in baseball, the only bullpen in baseball with a negative WAR. So, I mean, it was them and the Rockies that had a negative WAR last year. So they fixed it. They fixed it in terms of back-end guys. Brendan Little, who's a homegrown talent. I talked to Eric Swanson, who I know is a Jets guy, a couple days ago, and he's like, Brendan Little's going to be unbelievable. We talked about this start of the year. He's going to be unbelievable. So Brendan Little's been insane, lefty out of the pen, crafty lefty, and then you got Yimi Garcia in the 8th, and then Jeff Hoffman in the 9th, and Eric Swanee coming back in a week or a couple weeks. So this bullpen could be a very, very strong part of this team if all things go well and guys stay healthy. I truly do think that.
Now, Johnny, you mentioned the opener. It was a little ugly. The ball was flying out on our guy Berrios, but overall, I've always thought that this, you might not have Paul Skeens, but you've got a really strong, deep rotation. And so far, so good for the guys getting the call on the bump.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that Berrios started, then the Max Scherzer one. The 2 losses this year is Berrios, who can't pitch on opening day, got shelled, and then Max Scherzer gets hurt in the 3rd inning, and you go to 2 bullpen guys who are bad. So I kind of watched that one. But, I mean, Chris Bassett was insane. Bowden Francis was insane. Kevin Gossman has been a dog. I think he's going to be unbelievable this year. So, and then you got Easton Lucas, a guy who made his major leagues debut as a starter, who shoved against the Nationals on Wednesday at work from Dome from home. So it's the rotation. I think is going to be fine. It's guys that have been able to stay healthy their entire careers and have been able to pitch 180, 200 innings. That's what they're going to give you, and they're going to give you depth. and they are going to pitch deep into baseball games. So the rotation is, in my opinion, probably the least of the concern as it is right now.
Just quickly on Scherzer, it sounds like he's got something with his thumb. Like he's been able to go out and pitch for a bit, and then afterwards it's bothersome. I mean, what are you hearing on it? And what, in your opinion, Johnny, what's the best case scenario starts wise for Scherzer this year with the Jays?
Avery said 100 innings, and I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, anymore. But I did see a couple days ago he got a cortisone shot in his hand, I believe it is, and he talks about this. When the thumb hurts, the elbow hurts, and the shoulder hurts. So it affects the entire arm, not just the thumb. So he has to get that dealt with. I believe he's on the 15-day DL as of right now, and just trying to work things out. But this is a guy, again, who, when he's healthy, can be a dog. And we saw in spring training he was absolutely shoving, and unfortunately the thumb just kind of wasn't up to par with him. And he even said when he was warming up in the bullpen Saturday before his start that he told Pete Walker that, I don't know how much I'm going to have to go. I kind of just want to save the bullpen here by going at least 3 or 4 innings. So if Max Scherzer can give you 50, 60 innings, like what is that, 10 starts, 11, 12 starts, that's just where it is, right? Like I really don't know what you can get from Max Scherzer right now. He's 41 years old. I mean, I'm not 41. I'm about 14 years away from that. But I can't imagine it's good on the body when your thumb hurts and your entire arm hurts at the age of 41.
You know, he is, speaking of dogs, I mean, when he is good to go, I mean, he, even at 41, I mean, is like the ultimate competitor. And I would love to see the effect he could have on this team, you know, especially if they can stay in the mix and play some real meaningful games in the second half of the season, if he's able to. But again, it's all about being able to pitch and get out there when he's called on. Johnny Genta is with us. Gate 14 pot. We got to tell you about maybe the biggest episode in the history of their operation coming up on the weekend. But just before that, Johnny, getting going this afternoon against the Mets. Tee up this series after the day off, heading into the Big Apple.
Listen, I mean, the Jays did not have a 5. If the Jays win today, this is their first 5-game win streak since, I believe, or they matched their highest win streak total of last year already a week into the season. I mean, today you got Kevin Gausman facing the Mets on opening day. That stadium's going to be rocking, man. We'll call it what it is. They just signed Juan Soto. It's going to be sold out. Pete Alonso's going to get a massive ovation for re-signing with the ball club. It's not going to be an easy series. Do I think the Mets are deep? Do I think the Mets are good? No. Maybe that's bulletin board material for them. But outside of Juan Soto, this entire team has been swinging pool noodles, man. I don't know how the Toronto Blue Jays lose this series with how awesome their bats have been without their top of their order. But I'm very excited for this pitching matchup today. Kevin Gausman versus McGill at 3 o'clock Eastern. And the pitching match up for the Jays as well. So I'm very excited to see where the Jays match up against a team that's going to be contending in the National League this season. I really am.
Yeah, around 6 p.m. Eastern, go to X and you'll see Frank the Tank losing his mind.
Yeah, hopefully.
That is the plan. Anyways, folks, I mentioned you and Avery do such a great job. The authenticity, the passion you have for the team, I think has really made Gate 14 as popular as it is and continues to grow. And you're getting some new fans and some new people coming on. And just filling people in on like the last month or so for you guys, because the spring training content is legendary. And as we mentioned and you teased yesterday on Twitter, arguably the biggest guest ever in the pod going to be joining you for a very special episode coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, we got tons of exciting things coming up, man. I mean, spring training, we got some pretty big guys. Bowden Francis came over to the house. Trey Savage is the number 1 prospect. Ben Nicholson-Smith and Keegan Matheson. So we've been lucky to kind of create these connections. And then this Sunday, we got the first ever, I believe, in-person, hour-long podcast with the president and CEO of the baseball team I grew up rooting for. I still haven't really hit me yet, but we recorded that on Wednesday. No one knew about it. We kind of never hinted at it, really. Just kind of just dropped the bomb on the people. And, Mark Shapiro this Sunday. And then hopefully the following week, I've been talking to him and texting him. The closer, Jeff Hoffman, will be coming on the podcast as well the week after. So tons of exciting things, man. And we've been kind of lucky to be able to get access to these type of guys, just not by asking by PR people, just by word of mouth and just mutual connections. So we've been really, really lucky. And I'm very, very, very excited for the people to listen to the Mark Shapiro podcast on Sunday, because man, is he just a great guy and just a guy that loves ball and loves talking ball. So
No, listen, dude, you guys have earned it. I see a lot of similarities in what you guys do to what we do here because you own it. You're authentic. You have a hell of a lot of fun. And, let's face it, when your team's winning, you're in on it as well. How long did you work on that? Like, how did that all get set up? Because it's one thing to be able to work with the team and get players. I mean, Shapiro's not doing a ton of sit-down hour-long interviews with anybody.
So what happened was his son follows me and is a Gate 14 listener, which still blows my mind. And I guess he sends Mark my tweets and all that type of stuff. So Mark knew tons of stuff about me in the interview, and you'll be able to hear that when the podcast drops. He threw a couple chirps my way that were very funny. But yeah, so I messaged Caden. I just said straight up, like, what do we got to do to get Mark on the pod? Like, what do we got to do? And he's like, give me a second. Called his dad and said, all right, shoot him an email. He'll answer you. He'll come on. You got it. So I emailed Mark and I told him about us, and he goes, Johnny, what's up, man? Like, I'd love to do it. Let's get it done when we're back in Toronto. And he said he connected me with Andrea, who is awesome, who's I believe the VP of Public Relations, I believe it is. And she's been following us for a while as well. So we set it up for Wednesday, April 3rd, and it was a day I've had circled on my calendar for a couple of weeks. But it honestly did not take much. Like, they knew the reach we have with the fans, and they knew how good the public perception will be to kind of hear from him in a long-form type of thing. And, he hopped on. And I wasn't really that nervous as I expected to be. I mean, we've interviewed Gossman, all these Bassett, Bowden, all these big guys. So it was pretty cool to kind of pull back the curtain and kind of hear about Mark Shapiro as the person. So I'm very excited for people to hear this podcast. I really am.
So there's a new episode out right now coming off the Nats series that is going to drop on Sunday. Just Johnny, before we go, let people know where they can find the podcast as well as the video version, all the way to consume Gate 14 if they want to get more into the Toronto Blue Jays with you fellas.
Yeah, it's Gate 14 podcast on YouTube, Gate 14 podcast on all the platforms you get to listen to audio podcasts. And then on Twitter, it's Gate 14 pod as well as Insta. And then you can find me and Avery on Johnny Giunta and Avery Chenye. And there's a lot of tweets that come rattled off from me during a game, so be warned about that. But if you were a person that loves the Toronto Blue Jays and roots for the Toronto Blue Jays, not one of those negative people that kind of hope they lose so you can be proven that you're correct, this is the podcast for you. And fan first, obviously, player first. And we've been lucky to kind of build a sort of like cult-like following with what we have with Gate 14. So we're really lucky, and we don't take it for granted. So that's where you can find us.
Hey, listen, pal, it's great to have you back on. It's great to have baseball back. I hope we can do this again a couple times throughout the season. Continued success. I can't wait for the episode on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to it. And I know a lot of Blue Jays fans are. Hey, enjoy the series this weekend before that episode drops on Sunday. And let's do this again sometime, Johnny. Thanks again.
Thank you, Andrew. And let's go Jets. Let's go Jets. Let's take down the Avs. Let's take down the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's conquer the beast. I'll be rooting for the Jets. I might even place a bet on them to win the Cup just to feel something.
Say what's up to our buddy Swanson too. I know he's going to be down with the big playoff run.
I will. Yeah, maybe I'll catch a playoff game with him at his condo this year.
Right on. Hey, anyways, thanks again, Johnny. Have a great one.
See you guys.
All right, there's Johnny Genta. If you're a Blue Jays fan, Gate 14 pod, these guys have a hell of a lot of fun, and they do a really, really good job as well. And how about that, Connor? Getting Shapiro for a sit-down 1-hour interview. I can tell how geeked he was about this, and they kind of teased it yesterday on Twitter. They got their new episode that I guess it just came out yesterday. Usually go Sundays and Thursdays at the end of series. But the boys stepping up into the big leagues with the boss man of the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's big time. That is awesome for them. And I just admire the passion that he has for the Jays. Like, you can tell he's so fired up for a weekend series against the New York Mets in early April. Like, it's a 162 game season in the MLB. There's games on every day. Most people kind of just throw it on as kind of a background thing and just have it on. He is locked into every single game and truly a fan. And to build it to that point is truly an incredible accomplishment. So I'm happy for them, and I'm looking forward to that episode.
A real funny dude and a great follow. If you are on him, if you are on X and you follow them, let him know that you enjoyed his visit on WST. and that you heard him here. And hopefully we'll get Johnny on a few more times to talk Blue Jays throughout the season. Again, it's Gate 14 Pod on X and Gate 14 Podcast, wherever you'll find it. All right. Last call for marbles, everybody. If you just popped in, and by the way, we're like pushing 500 in the chat, and we're just over 200 likes. We got 231. Like, let's get this to 300 today, folks. We got a packed show. We've got a packed chat room. And make sure you subscribed. Press the subscribe button if you haven't already. So if you win, we're hooking you up with the exclusive Winnipeg Sports Talk hoodie, which will represent you around town as a marbles champion. So just last call. If you just popped in, get that in. And Andrew, in a minute or whatever, if you want to just round it up. While you do that, we will head over to CoolBet and check out the night in the National Hockey League and some of the lines from our friends at CoolBet. And don't forget, everybody, Sunday night, 8 p.m. Winnipeg time is our next poker tourney. If you have played with us before, you know how it works. Get over there, get your entry in, and we'll see you at 8 p.m. If you haven't before, and actually you can just see this right here at the top of the page. It clicks, you click on poker. It'll take you over there, download the poker software, and then go in. You'll click on tournaments and just search lock. There's a little magnifying glass. Just put in lock. The lock shop tourney will come up. That is where you enter and join a bunch of Winnipeg sports talkers, a bunch of ESTers, and lots of fans of the lock shop in our tournament. There will be a $100 bounty on my head. There will be a $100 bounty on Dustin Nielsen's head if you're fortunate enough to take us out. And got some, obviously, some great cash for the winner as well. I'm looking for you, Randy D. I don't forget what you did to me when we were heads up in the final 2 tournaments ago. It should be a lot of fun. I mean, as far as tonight goes on the ice, there's 3 games. The Wild and the Islanders are playing on Long Island, 6:30 start. That's certainly the tightest line. Minnesota's plus 106. The Islanders are minus 125. Carolina is in Detroit to take on the Red Wings. Carolina's minus 183. Detroit is plus 154. And then we've got the Blackhawks and the Capitals. And listen, the Caps are a huge favorite, minus 385. But the big drama tonight is goals for Ovi. He's 3 away from setting the record. I don't know, Connor. I mean, at home against the Blackhawks, Gretzky, the commissioner, everyone's going to be in the house tonight. Why not get it done? I'm telling you right now, if he can get one early, I wouldn't be surprised if it falls tonight. And I did click on player goals earlier today in Lock Shop, got over 2.5 at 20-1. It's now 19-1. Ovi to score a goal is minus 149. Ovi to get 2 tonight is plus 275. And then 19-1 to break the record tonight against Spencer Knight and the Chicago Blackhawks. There is a couple of exclusives just like right in the combo cards on the main page. Road to 895. Ovi will score and Ovi over 3.5 shots. That is at plus 168. They've got some other some baseball stuff today. Jays are already underway. They were down 2-0 last time I looked. Points from the point is a Chikrin point, Gostisbehere point, and Noah Dobson point. That's more than 8-1 tonight. A shot prop with Bedard, DeBrincat, and Boldy all to go over 2.5 shots. That's plus 636. The DGen Den crew has a parlay put together, and there's a few others, all with a nice little boost. So you can check all of that right now over at CoolBet. CFL futures also out today. If you want a more in-depth conversation on that, check out today's Lock Shop. But we kind of had some fun times kicking around the MVP odds. Chad Kelly, the favorite, of plus 425. Nathan Rourke, 7-1. Zach Caleros, Davis Alexander, Drew Brown, 10-1. Brady O, Trevor Harris, 11-1. Bo Levi, 16. and then Trey Ford and Vernon Adams at 20-1 to me is pretty interesting. I talked about that on the program, but I mean, Calgary's expected to be the worst team. They've got the lowest win total. If Vernon Adams could lead that team to a 500 record or 10-8 and make the playoffs, they're going to need to score a lot. He's going to need to pass a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if he, as far as value on the board right now, VA at 20-1, I think would be my pick. And the Argos are the favorite for the Grey Cup, plus 325. Bombers, third lowest odds at plus 475. So it's all there waiting for you at CoolBet. Use the promo code WST if you haven't played there before for a 100% bonus on your first deposit up to $200. And do not forget, for everyone that wants to throw down on the Masters next week, Pat Mayo was with us on Wednesday. The link is in the description of that show. A great promo. Listen, if you're betting on the Masters, make sure you opt in on Pat's contest. It's Can Open is the promo code. If you opt in on that, every $10 you bet on the Masters, you'll get a ballot in for an amazing trip out to Toronto for the Canadian Open. Couple days at the golf course, a Blue Jays game, the Mayo live show. And I'm going to be out there. Well, I hope I'm not out there, because the only thing that will keep me from being there is the Jets still playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So while I hope to be busy, do have plans that if the team isn't playing, to get out there for that, which should be a hell of a lot of fun. But it's all over there at CoolBet. Check the promo codes. Of course, we got Final Four this weekend as well. Frozen 4 odds are up right now. And the UFC bet and get the best promo they have. Put a $25 bet for UFC and get a $25 free bet on Monday. I'm still waiting for our guy Big Maple from the Lock Shop to drop his winner on us. Gave us an 11-1 successful parlay last week. So I'll go with the experts on this. Oh, one other thing. Bombers win totals for all the teams are out of CoolBet. Bombers are at 10 and minus 119 to the over. One thing I forgot to do, and we'll really get in on this next week when it is Masters week, but it is so great to have Breezy Bend back with us. Talking to Corey down at the course. Preparations are well underway for the upcoming 2025 golf season. If you're thinking or have been discussing with your family, maybe a long time home at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, talk to the folks at Breezy about getting on the waiting list. They have full membership right now, very healthy club. They just did some amazing renovations to the clubhouse, but it's a great spot. I can't wait to get out there in a few weeks when the course opens. And of course, we'll be there for the Manitoba Open later on this year as Breezy Bend hosts it. I did promise a Breezy Bend golf report and a little look at the Valero Texas Open leaderboard. And there he is, Kashmir Keith Mitchell, after his 8 under 64 in round 1. Is still atop the leaderboard at 9 under par. Brian Harmon's at 8, Sam Ryder and Matt Wallace at 6. And our guy Daniel Berger, who Pat Mayo tipped and gave us a boost at CoolBet to 40-1. Berger is in the clubhouse at 6 under par. A couple of the other guys that we've been paying close attention to, Ben Griffin, who's looking for a Masters invite. He's at 4 under. Stephen Fisk, who Mayo gave us at 250-1, is at 4 under as well. Corey Connors, 2 under par. But our guy Akshay Bhatia doesn't look like he's going to make the cut. He and Ludwig Oberg finished at even, and I don't think that's going to be enough to play the weekend. It looks like the projected cut line is -1. So there you have it. Our Breezy Bend reporting. And for more information on Breezy Bend, just head on over online to breezybend.ca. All right, Connor, are you ready for some marbles action on a Friday afternoon?
How could I not be? I'm very ready. You were talking about Alex Ovechkin there, though, and I have a question for you and the chat room. If he has an opportunity at the record with an empty net, does he take it?
Yes, I think he does. I think he, especially if it's tonight. Like if he already has 2, I don't think there's any doubt. There has been talk about that. Yeah. Like, do you want to break it on an empty netter? But I mean, hey, didn't Gretzky get 50 and 39 with an empty netter? I mean, they all count. I don't think everyone's going to be talking about that one of 895 goals. He's had a few empty netters this year, to be perfectly honest with you. But To me, it'll be about getting it, and I don't think they want to prolong it. So if he's out there and the cage is open, they'll do it. I'm not sure the Blackhawks are going to be in position to pull the goalie tonight, to be perfectly honest with you. So
Okay, yeah.
I guess we'll see. We will see about that. But as I said, I wouldn't at all be surprised if it goes down tonight. He needs 3. He's got the Blackhawks there. All the dignitaries will be there, including Sean Reynolds, who, by the way, I'm still laughing about him referring to himself now as the international media after on Tuesday's show. But let's get to it. We are, you know where we're going today, folks? We are going to the slippery slopes. We figured it's the end of winter. This snow is about to leave us. So why not one more kick at winter with the slippery slopes? And we'll get Andrew to fire up the one thing we don't have today is the theme song. That's on Remus's computer. He's away, but our guy Andrew figured out the marbles. We've done it once before. We're going to do it again today. Interested to know how many marbles we have. And he's just getting into. Okay, we're just getting the names. He's going to need a minute. We'll let you know when we're ready on that. Big weekend though coming up, Connor. Obviously, we've got this game tomorrow, but the scoreboard watching kind of works out pretty well for Jet fans, at least. If you want to watch Sid and the Penguins try and do the Jets a favor tomorrow afternoon, that's a 2:00 game. Of course, the Jets play in the evening. And then Sunday afternoon, a 2:00 game between the Dallas Stars, who have to travel overnight, go to Minnesota, and play a Wild team, the only other playoff team other than the Winnipeg Jets that are on the schedule.
Yeah, the scoreboard watching does work out perfectly. You can spend your Saturday afternoon hate watching the Dallas Stars and then watching the Jets, and then Sunday afternoon as well. Nice back-to-back Sunday afternoon games. And obviously, as you know, Hustler will be live Sunday morning here on this very channel, WST Sunday Live. Myself, Jacob, and Liz will be breaking down that Jets-Utah game. We'll be talking about the Dallas Stars, where they're at in the standings, and whether or not they won their game as well. So lots to come out of that game Saturday night, and I'm looking forward to Sunday's show. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, turn your notifications on, everybody. 9 a.m. on Sunday. The gang will fire it up with full reaction from Saturday's game in Utah. The latest on the Stars. And then, you want to talk, like at the beginning of the season, we're picking games. I wasn't really thinking that the Monday game in early April against the Blues was going to be a big one, but with what this team has done really since the Four Nations tournament, being the hottest and best team in the National Hockey League, it sets up a pretty juicy one for the Amazon Prime game, and arguably, a goaltending matchup that's always juicy. Connor Hellebuck, the Vezina favorite, going up against the resurgent Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just going to take a look at the schedule here. Do the Blues, they must play between now and then. If that would be a few days off. I just want to see. Yeah, they played the Colorado Avalanche Saturday at home. So we'll see if they still have the 11-game winning streak coming in. The Avs are really hot right now as well. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. So could be a 12-game winning streak for the Blues coming in Monday, coming off of a big win against Colorado. Or it could be they finally lost the streak and they're coming into Winnipeg. Either way, it's going to be a really fun game. Obviously, like you said, St. Louis, the best team in the NHL since the Four Nations break. I outlined the stats earlier. The Jets, maybe not getting the best results in the NHL since that break, but playing like one of the best teams, playing like an elite team with some statement wins. And next week's going to be a big one. Monday, St. Louis, Thursday, Dallas. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're just having an issue grabbing the name, so hopefully we'll be able to get into that right away. Tomorrow's action, like this is a busy day, and there's some big games in the NHL after a kind of a quiet one tonight. The Rangers are playing the Devils, and by the way, I was just quickly, one thing we didn't do today was look at the wild card. We were so focused in on what's happening with the Jets, but the wild card in the East, after Montreal's win last night, has the Habs at 81 points with 75 games played. They are 5 back of the Ottawa Senators, who won and have 86 points with 75 games played. The Rangers are 2 back with 79. And then the Blue Jackets, who were looking good for a little bit last night, then just got caved in by the Avalanche. So they're 4 points back of the Montreal Canadiens. They do have a game in hand. Detroit is 6 back of the Habs. They have a game in hand, and the Islanders are 7. But this run by the Habs, Connor, the back-to-back wins against Florida could very well be the defining couple games that get them over the hump. But we're getting down to the short strokes. There's only 7 games left, and pretty amazing that we talked so much about a Canadian team making it. We were thinking it was going to be Ottawa or Calgary or Vancouver. It's in fact could be potentially Ottawa and Montreal. And man, a Toronto-Ottawa series in round 1 would be so good.
I think either way, I mean, I guess Tampa Bay could win that division, but either way, I thought we would get, the Kachucks with Florida versus Ottawa or the Battle of Ontario. But yeah, I want to see the Battle of Ontario. Toronto has also struggled against Ottawa this season, so that would add a little bit of juice to it. Like Ottawa has their number. We know the Leafs lose in the first round every year, and that's haunting them year after year. Going up against this young up-and-coming team, finally made the playoffs, the Ottawa Senators. So I would really love that series. I hope it ends up happening. And then Montreal making the playoffs and playing against Washington. I mean, we know the Bell Center is one of the best arenas in the NHL. We saw it at the Four Nations, but they would be that building would be on fire against the Capitals and the number 1 seed coming in. And the way that Montreal as well is also a young up-and-coming team that, didn't have the expectations of making the playoffs this year, but have been on a pretty good run here of late. So I'm liking how the matchups are shaping out in the East. That's always my thing. The Jets aren't obviously in the Eastern Conference. So as long as the matchups are very, very entertaining for kind of the early slate before the Jets play, usually most nights on the West Coast, that's what I'm looking for in the East, is some juicy matchups. And it looks like we're going to get some for sure in the first round.
Yeah, listen, I mean, no huge Leaf guy, but I want the Leafs to win the Atlantic. I'm just looking at Coolbet right now. They're minus 222 favorites to win that division. And that would set up the Toronto-Ottawa series. To make the playoffs, the Habs after that win last night are minus 145. So they are favored more than 50% to make it. The Rangers are plus 215. And the Calgary Flames still hanging on at plus 550. If you're wondering about the Central Division, the Jets went to minus 303 after the win last night. And before Dallas was plus 150 going to last night's game, they're now plus 200. And oh, by the way, if you are as invested as me in this Hart race, Draisaitl got hurt yesterday. It left the game. Yeah. It looked like potentially a groin. They haven't said anything. We'll see. But the latest Hart numbers have Draisaitl at minus 167 and Connor Hellebuyck at plus 110. The McKinnon number went from 10-1 to 6-1 last night, which is interesting because it kind of seems like it's a 2-horse race, but McKinnon is very much in it. But, I mean, for people holding Hellebuyck tickets, if Draisaitl misses time, being careful with the groin or whatever it is, that'll be big. And obviously, Helly's going to have a big week ahead of him to further make a statement that he's the MVP.
Yeah, the best thing Connor Hellebuyck can do at this point is obviously win his games and be great in them. But if they're number 1 in the West, number 1 in the Central, if they win the President's Trophy, being the best goalie since, the 50s that you were outlining the stats the other day to do all these things, that would be, I think, the best thing he could possibly do to solidify his Hart case. We do have some news also, Hustler, from today's practice, which got underway in Utah. Nikolai Ehlers not skating with the Jets, but both Mitch Clinton and Ken Wiebe reporting from the road that he is walking around the rink. So maybe it's just maintenance. Well, we obviously won't be live when Scott Arneil mentions what the injury is, but not skating today. Neil Pionk is getting his first full practice in. So far, he had just been doing morning skates, but he is practicing with the team. He's skating on the 4th pairing with Hayden Fleury. So not quite taking line rushes with Dylan Sandberg yet, but good to see Neil Pionk ramping up here. And maybe he'll be an option as early as next week if things go according to plan here.
Yeah, it is going to be really interesting when Pionk gets back in the lineup. They started off and the starting point was Shen with Fleury.
Yep.
I think there's been enough. We haven't seen Shen and Stanley. I doubt that would be the pairing that they would go with. I do wonder, though, if during these games, and maybe it's against Chicago or Anaheim late, they see what Colin Miller looks like. Because I think Miller adds a bunch of things to the lineup that maybe the other guys don't have, and certainly versatile. If something happens, excuse me, to one of those other guys, the ability to move over. It's just a matter of, can he be confident and comfortable on that left side, or are they better off going with a natural guy that plays that position?
For sure. And there's also the element that Colin Miller plays on the second power play unit when Neil Pionk isn't there. When Neil Pionk comes back, he's the quarterback of that unit. Does Colin Miller stay on that unit and they run 2 defensemen? Or do they go with a Hayden Fleury because they like his penalty killing more than Colin Miller's? There's a lot of, special teams part of that as well, more than just the pairings, what you see on paper at 5-on-5. But obviously that's where they're going to make their biggest impact. I think they'll go right back to Hayden Fleury and maybe get a look at that again before we end the season here. I think I'd like to see Colin Miller on the left side, but I think once Neil Pionk is healthy, I think you see Hayden Fleury come back in. But hey, Colin Miller has earned an opportunity to show what he can do on the left side. He's been fantastic these last couple of games here.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, listen, if you're wondering why we're just sort of, tap dancing, as they say in the business, we're having an issue just because we're using a different software than we normally do when Ream's here. So Andrew, it has to do a bunch of manual stuff to get all these names in, and it might look a little different, but it's going to take us, it's only copying like 20 at a time. So listen, we're doing everything we can. The manual labor right now behind the scenes here at Winnipeg Sports Talk. And hopefully in 3 or 4 minutes, we should be able to go with it. So we do appreciate everybody's patience. But again, for something like marbles, Connor, sometimes good things are worth waiting for.
Exactly. It's a Friday afternoon. The Jets won. Imagine if they had lost last night. Like, we'd all just be waiting here. No, they won. We can just bask in the 4-0 win over Vegas. It's been a couple years. Let's just keep talking about it. I'm here for it.
Let's take a quick look in at what's happening with the Blue Jays. Bottom 4, 2 outs. Jays down 2-0 to the Mets. Just 2 hits so far. Vladdy has 1. Springer has 1. And only 2 hits against Gausman as well. Unfortunately, one of those was a hit by Lindor, and the other one was a 2-run shot by the polar bear, Pete Alonso. And as Johnny alluded to, signing that extension with the Mets, he was going to get a big, big welcome back, especially after that incredible playoff run that he and the team had. And pretty nice way to start the season for Pete, going yard right off the hop.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the home run derby and like the winner or the contender like every single year. That's just what he does. He just hits bombs. But Huss, I want to ask you this because it's 162 game season. Obviously, we're locked up in the Winnipeg Jets playoff race right now. What is your baseball viewing experience like? Are you more of like a background, have the Jays game on while you do something else kind of guy? Are you locked into the games when you can be? What is baseball to you? Because I think we might be different on this.
Well, it depends. I will often have it on, and it will be like, I'll be kind of paying attention. I'll be on my computer. Right. I'll be doing something, but I'll be listening to the guys. I'll kind of look around and, see most of the at-bats.
Right.
I mean, if I've bet on the game, I might be more locked in, and I think that's a natural thing. But it ramps up as you get throughout the season, like during the summer. And that's why I think it's the best radio sport of all. I mean, there's so many great announcers, and, there's nothing better than kicking it on the beach or on, on your deck, cracking a beer and just basically having the sound of baseball in the background. But when it's on television, if I'm around, I mean, I'm certainly not locked in anywhere close to a hockey game or a football game. But when it gets to the playoffs, it is that feeling that like every pitch counts, and you kind of are sitting on the end of your seat. But that's certainly not throughout the full 162.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's so many games, and here you can look at the schedule for the Winnipeg Jets and be like, oh, this game against Dallas is obviously super important. Like, until you get super late in the season for baseball, it just feels like you're just hoping to win series. Like, games are obviously important. You want to win games, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm more of I have it on as a background noise, pay attention to some of the at-bats, keep up with the team, listen to the Gate 14 podcast, things of that nature. But I am not as locked in for sure. Well, definitely with the Winnipeg Jets, but yeah, I mean, and being in person, I will say, like, the pitch clock has really changed things for me in terms of the TV viewing experience. I think it's gotten a lot better personally. Like, it's a lot more fast paced. The games are shorter. You don't have guys adjusting their gloves for 20 seconds between pitches. Like, that is good. But then I went to an MLB game last year, and it was like, I kind of wanted to be in the ballpark for a few more hours, you know, like the game was over in two hours and like 15 minutes. And it's like, I kind of wanted to be here all day.
Well, do you remember our WST night at the Goldeyes last year? Our first one?
Yes.
It was a 1-0 pitchers duel. The game lasted an hour and 54 minutes. I mean, it felt like we had just got there. I've often wondered, and, you know, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be firing up with the Goldeyes again starting next month as we get closer to opening day. Like, I do wonder, like, what that's done to concession sales. Like, how much less beer do you sell in a game that's an hour and 54 minutes than one that goes, 3 hours like they had been before? Yeah. And another thing, and it's funny you bring this up, I was talking to a friend just with baseball being back about the 9x9x9 challenge, where
so much tougher.
You have to drink 9 beers, eat 9 hot dogs in 9 innings. I mean, even if that's a 3.5 hour game, I think that is a real tall task. But I mean, if all of a sudden the pitchers are dealing and you've got 2 hours and 20 minutes to complete the 9x9,
you're done.
It makes it way harder to pull off.
Have you ever done it, Huss? Have you ever tried it? Have you ever given it a go?
No, I've been challenged a few times. I've been challenged a few times, and there's been some talk about a rather significant wager on it and do it organized. And this is the other thing. And listen, just to get into the details of this, one of the great things about going to the ballpark at Blue Cross Field for the Goldeyes is the fact that it's all local beers, and we can go and get Little Brown Jug, 1919s. My ballpark beer is definitely the generic. It's 16-ounce cans too. So, I mean, like, I think I would probably, if I was going to do this, I would prefer, for obvious reasons, to have 12-ounce cans, a light beer, but still, I mean, 9 beers and 9 hot dogs in a relatively short period of time. Like, I don't know what would be harder. I think the hot dogs is definitely harder. Like, I'm pretty sure
I think so.
that if challenged or put to the test, I could probably handle the beers in the time allotted. But the minute you're filling up with all that, it makes eating that much harder. So in the chat, has anyone ever completed the 9x9x9? I would love to know, or if you even attempted it.
I think this is the best marble stalling conversation we've ever, or topic we've ever had on this show. The 9x9x9. Baseball's back, baby. Let's do it.
Baseball is back, and Goldeye season coming up as well. I'm gonna check in and see how we're doing, and BA split. I'm getting drunk hearing this. Yes. Oh, Big Uke says EST will be trying the 9x9x9 at a Riverhawks game this year. Iwanic wants to do it. Chances of Iwanic being able to pull that off, I'm going to set the line at plus 1,500? 15 to 1?
Wow. Long shot.
Like, Iwanic's not a big guy. He's kind of thin, although sometimes those guys just can absolutely crush things like hot dogs, fooding.
Yeah.
I mean, the 9 beers, maybe that's a little disrespectful. How about 10 to 1? 10 to 1, you. There's my line.
Get that up on
line on it. And Spency says, yeah, I'm drinking 9 baseball bats at the Goldeyes, the bats. Well, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe on our first Goldeyes game that we do together, we'll see if there's any takers. I might be able to get a deal on some dogs for some people if we want to if we want to make that happen. All right. I think we might be, holy smokes, 305 people. Oh, and we are ready to go. Okay, listen, thank you for the patience, everyone. Although you maybe were the lucky one. We got to talk about the 9x9 challenge. We're hearing that Iwanik's going to do it. Maybe a test EST versus WST. Who will do it first? You guys can do it at the Riverhawks. We'll document it at the Gold Eyes game and go from there. But we do have to have a standard uniform beer size. So maybe we're doing it in 12-ounce cups and getting it from the tap out in Craft Beer Corner. Leave this with me, everybody. I'll be talking to our guy, Andrew Collier, and I can't wait to get going with the Gold Eyes again. All right, we got 305 marbles in here. Hey, shout out to the 18 Over Par podcast. Looking forward. I'm jumping in with those fellas on Sunday. We're going to do a little bit of a marbles betting promo. Marbles Masters, excuse me. As I try to multitask here.
I was like, whoa.
But here we go. It looks like we're locked in. Andrew has done the manual labor behind the scenes to set this thing up. We're doing slippery slopes. So I will say we're going to probably have some carnage once we get to the skis because of how many marbles we'll be able to even get onto them. Certainly is a fun one that we've done before. But as I say, to culminate the end of winter and moving on to spring, we're going to fire up the slippery slopes right now. So, Andrew, if you want to get into it, we are good to go. The people are ready. The people are fired up. And we're looking forward to it. All right, everyone. Thanks again to Andrew for making it happen. Fire away, dude, and drop the marbles. And if your name looks a little different, it's because there was a lot of copying and pasting that had to be done to make this happen. But again, WST, Andrew, going the extra mile to take care of the people. All right. See, you got a long one here. An interesting start here. And we've already seen a couple of individuals get thrown over the top rope. Actually, this is a little different one of slippery slopes. Either way, we will be getting a winner here. But we're going down into a big funnel. Let's see who's up here. Looks like Eric, Espo, Amy's in the mix right now as well. A big group. I'm going to get Jets off to Utah. Here we go. But yes, Eric, Amy, the whole crew. Now we're getting down into some funky turns. Who do we got here? Ryan in there. I think Yin Vivian's in the mix right now. The boy. But it is very tight. It is very tight. And an interesting one. Yeah, this is a little different than the old slippery slopes, I think. Although, no, it looks like we are coming up to these are the skis that we remember going back and forth. Yes, this is a wild course. So we'll see what happens. And if you can, rotate so we're on the side for this side. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Just like that. Okay, so now we're coming up to the slopes. And this is where when there's so many marbles, sometimes we get a lot of people jumped, like doubled up in. So you do want to get in early and get out before everyone comes in and it turns into basically a demolition derby of these teams. I see Bailey. How about that? Spring Break Bailey doing good. All right, here come the marbles that aren't getting through. There is a lot of carnage right now as everyone bumps into each other over at the entrance into the slippery slopes. We're pushing some more marbles off right now. But again, one of our all-time favorite tracks. The big question is who will survive? Who's going to get through this portion of the marble race and on into the hopper for the remainder of the race? Looks like James, Isha Boy, Yin Vivian are all right there in the mix. Coming through right now, down these tunnels, into the top one. Who do we have here? We've got, okay, now, if you recall this one, we come down this big slide, and then they'll be going off the ski jump into it is. Who is first? A miss. All right. I think it's Mitch. Yes. We have Mitch Jess in second, C-Mac third, Lowry fourth, James. We got Miller time in the mix. Drew Music as well. Snuka 22, Nathan, and Camaro. Everyone's coming in. We'll roll through all the names to see how everyone went. But big one by Mitch. Big win on the slippery slopes. Over 300 marbles today. And again, incredible work by Andrew to live on the fly, troubleshoot, figure it out. Mitch Razanzoff, 212. Way to go, Mitch. Mitch, if you can, fire us an email, winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. Hold on one second there, Andrew, and I'll let you know when to go down. Gmail.com. Let us know what size you are. I'll holler at you early next week, and we'll get you set up for a time to come by and check it out. All right, so Mitch is first. Jess, C-Mac, Lowry. Oh, the dream. My pal Jamie Stevenson, top 5. Nicely done. Rest of the top 10, Drew Music, Daryl Selly, Big Uke. The Uke. That's a way to kick off the weekend. Repping the lock shop, 9th overall. Now we can just keep on rolling down. We'll see. There's Tristan Rivers. There's Rick Benson. Yin Vivian had a nice run. It was excellent. There's Nicole J. There's Running Man and Dark Moon. Dark Moon, welcome back. We haven't seen you in a little while. Oh, Amanda finishing. Nicely done. 63rd. There's Pretty and Pionk. Eagle Eyes. Andrew Haleko. A lot of marbles today. Mike Wynn. Matt Hyman. What's up, fellas? There's Transcona Logan. Shout out to Bullish Bradley, by the way, who won last week. Came by and he picked up his nephew, I believe, picked it up for him. Doesn't get out very much. Dan Jets fan, Natalie, Moose, and then just cruise all the way down. This is everyone else that did not make it through. I think we'll see myself in here. Oh, there's Bozeman. Yeah, there's Hustlerama. It's a push in our bet today. Darren Chalice. A lot of carnage because of just how many marbles we had for the slippery slopes. But again, a huge thanks to AZ, Andrew Zalondek, for being in the chair, making it all happen today while Remus has been gone. And a fun week. Big thanks to Connor as well for jumping in today. And it was fun. We had a lot of time to talk. We had a little extra time at the end. And Connor, it was great. And now we get ready. Big one tomorrow night, 6 p.m., Hockey Night in Canada from Utah. And then 9 a.m. on Sunday, you, Liz, Jacob, ready to fire it up and get ready for the big one on Monday night on the Amazon Prime game with the Jets and the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we go live at 9 a.m. WST Sunday Live. We'll pick which players we think are trending up and down, take questions from the chat as well in our Burning Questions segment. So it's going to be a fun show coming out of that Utah game. And like I said off the top of the show, every game this time of year has that playoff feel. Every point is crucial. Standings watch. We're on Dallas Stars watch. So we'll break it all down Sunday morning coming out of Jets in Utah. And thanks for having me on the big show, Huss. Really appreciate filling in for
No,
Remo
dude,
here.
you killed it. And listen, let's go Sid tomorrow. Crosby, make it happen. Captain Canada, help out the Canadian team. Go in there to Dallas, get a win. And then I can't believe we're going to be pulling for the Wild on Sunday afternoon, but that is where we are right now. And then very soon we'll be getting the playoff whites, getting ready to go.
There you go.
Just
there
had them sitting here, ready to go for the games. Listen, for Connor Hrabchak, Andrew Zalondek, a vacationing Michael Remus. Hope Remo's having a great time away for a couple days. I'm Andrew Paterson. Huge thanks to all the sponsors that make Winnipeg Sports Talk happen each and every day, and all of you for hanging out and having fun with us. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you Monday, 1 p.m., as we get ready for Jets Blues Monday night at Canada Life Center. That's going to do it for us. Catch you Monday, everybody, and have a great one.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.